Octium.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday the 12th of July 2014. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp and Zachary Burgess.
Welcome back to making noises again.
Yeah, but there was no
There was an you've got like 50% of the
half of the Does that still count as content reuse?
Also, I was checking to see whether this podcast was conveniently 118, but it's not.
It's not, no. Why would it be 118? What are you looking forward to?
Because that was the element you just read out, you idiot.
It was.
Atomic number, 118. Well, what is the element for this podcast?
It's an F.
It's an F.
It's an F. What does that even mean?
It's an F something, but it's a bit small on this table.
What number is
14?
This? 14.
So we're at episode 114. So it would be Flerovium.
Flerovium.
We're just outside the un section. I think that starts at 112. 100.
Wait, no, there's an un. I think there's an un at 113.
Oh, they just skipped over that one.
Yeah, they're just like Flerovium. It's untrium. An untrium. Chemistry.
Yeah. We're going to run out of elements if we start using the actual number of the podcast.
Yeah. Can't be many left. In fact, an octium is probably the highest I can see on this little table.
Really? Wow, we've made it all the way to the end. Instead not at all.
No,
We're just picking them at random.
I was about to say, maybe when we reach 118, maybe that's a sign for us to change the theme. It's been so long.
Do you think?
It hasn't really been that long, though, has it?
Has it not? Is it maybe be getting on over a year now?
See, we keep picking sets of things that are limited. I don't know why. Surely it's not that hard to pick.
We did like hats before, and we kept that going for way too long.
No, but hats run out quite quick. There aren't that many styles of hats. That's why I thought birds was good, because there's so many types of birds.
But there isn't really.
Yeah, not the ones that people know, but yeah.
Not ones that we know specifically.
No, that's true.
Anything sort of like nature-based, I guess. You could keep like breeds of dog might be.
Dog breeds, that would be awesome.
Yeah. It could go on for a while.
Pomeranian.
We ran out of cheeses, even though there are tons of cheeses, but most of them end up being variants of things.
Exactly, that's the problem, and they end up just being random French geographical locations.
Yeah, a bit like wines, I suppose.
Mm.
But then I can't imagine there's that many like wine types either.
No, you probably
might be quite small.
Of the varieties of grape, isn't it? It's not really to do with the region necessarily. It's more to do with you'd run out of Chardonnays. Anyway, that wouldn't really... It's not funny enough, damn it.
Because all of this is incredibly funny.
Obviously.
All our announcement words.
Exactly.
It's always been funny.
We chose cheeses from the beginning because the cheese is just inherently funny for some reason.
Yeah.
That's because the first one we did was just cheese. I think the intro to the first Saladcast we ever did was just cheese.
I don't think we had this from the beginning, did we? This need. Oh, I guess we did. Because we're doing it remote.
That was always my cue to you guys to say, "Hey, we're on air now."
Indeed.
But we left it in.
Yeah, obviously. Don't want to cut that out. This is the most important part of the show, as you saying some random word. So yes,
we should just do it more often. Then, in the middle of anyone's story, just random words.
I'm sure that would work really good.
It's the most important part.
It takes you 10 minutes to come up with the word, even using even using technology to try and randomize your word.
But we've got to the point now where it's just like, have we had that one before?
Yeah,
when it comes to the elements.
That's why we need a much larger set.
Or just better record keeping.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly. Write it down every time.
But that requires effort.
I know. There's too much.
We are minimum effort operation.
I don't know. We're here, aren't we?
We managed it somehow.
I came all the way back from town to be here to talk to you, listeners.
Appreciate me.
Yeah, exactly. God damn it. Yes.
How was everyone? Good couple of weeks?
Yeah, not so bad. It's been sunny. Had my birthday, so that was cool.
Yeah. Did you get up to much?
Yeah, I went to the theatre.
Theatre.
Yeah, I went to the Globe, the Shakespeare's Globe, on the South Bank. And saw Julius Caesar. That was good. Friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me your ears and all that, and everyone has to cut off their ears. And lend it to them. And so that was good.
Here, have my ear. I don't really need them. I mean, all this extra flesh is a little much.
It's a loan. You get it back with interest. So
get bigger ears.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was cool. And then went up to Cambridge on Saturday, chilled out by the Cam, drinking some tasty beers.
Tasty beers.
So that was cool. Although it wasn't as sunny that day, but it was pretty damn sunny on my birthday, so that was cool. And I took the day off as well, so 2 days off. Yes.
As you should.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to work on their birthday.
No, it's pretty rough.
Although, if you do go into the office, or if you work in an office, or even if you don't work in an office, if you go into work where there's people there on your birthday, they're usually super nice to you and stuff. So sometimes it's a good day to go in, I suppose. Depends. It's like I'm debating whether, because I always take Christmas Eve off.
Right.
Because sometimes you have to work on Christmas Eve because it's not a bank holiday at all.
No.
So I always take it off holiday, but actually it's a great day to go to work because nobody does any work.
No, it can be variable. I mean, I have been at places where they actually, it was somewhat serious, and it's like, oh, really? People are actually working? Oh, this isn't what I signed up for. And then other companies was just like, yeah, whatever, half day, And
yeah, exactly.
We know no one's not doing anything, so the company would just be all like, go home.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it should be. But then if you don't take it off and you go in, and then you effectively have a free day off because you haven't spent that holiday. So I feel like maybe I'm wasting holiday by not playing
holiday management. I would rather risk the Christmas Eve unless there were other plans that required my absence.
What you would risk going in?
Yeah, I'd risk going in.
Yeah, but Christmas Eve is the best part of Christmas for me. I know it's middle of summer and we're talking about Christmas, but Christmas Eve is the best part. The anticipation, all the random TV, watching the snowman and all that stuff. That's almost the best part. And you're not super bloated because you've eaten a giant meal or something like you are on Christmas Day.
You saying that's a bad thing? The bloatness is the pure feeling of satisfaction.
I always feel always tired on Christmas because I've just sat and eaten so man.
I know, I've started doing that. You end up. I sort of never really understood it. Like how on a Sunday when we used to go to my granddad's, and there would be sort of like a big old tea or a roast or something, and it would be. Everyone would just veg out for the rest of the day, and there's Kippers and I as kids just going, "What the hell's going on?
What are you doing? Yeah, why are you vegging?" Yeah, it's bizarre.
Why does everybody die after eating your food?
Why do we die? So anyway, that's Christmas. What about more summery celebrations, such as World Cup final game
tomorrow?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, did you see that Brazil game? That was insane.
Yeah, it was a genius.
I was playing Child of Light at the time, and just the notifications just kept coming up on my Xbox. It's like, I better stop this and see what's happening. It was crazy.
Well, I watched it from the start, and after half an hour, there's not really much point we continue. I mean, there's no point watching the football after that, but it was worth watching just to see the kind of car crash going on. Effectively.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
It's an insane, it was like a pile-up or something. It's like you couldn't help but watch. I don't know. It's ridiculous.
It's weird. It's just doubly weird that a team that was doing super well.
They weren't doing super well.
They were doing pretty well. I mean, yeah, sure.
Better than anyone else they played.
Yeah, but they also had easy selection.
Right.
As the half of the groups they were in.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
They did go through on penalties from the previous game, didn't they? So it's not like they won. They did win, but not properly win.
Well, I say super well, but this is all in context of where we come from, and it's like to England, everyone else has done super well, except maybe Australia.
I don't know. I think Australia probably did better than we did.
US did a lot better than we did, didn't they?
Yeah, US was cool.
I'm feeling they wouldn't have conceded 7 goals to Germany. Oh no, they played them, didn't they? Didn't the US play Germany?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were fine. What was it? They lost like 2-1 or something? I don't know. Yeah.
My tip for the win went out though. Poor Dutch.
Well,
that was a shit game as well.
Yeah,
I didn't watch that one.
It was boring. Nothing happened, really.
Up till penalties.
Yeah.
And then it gets super exciting.
But the Brazil-German game, that was pretty insane, ridiculous.
It's just funny. Yeah, it's just what happened, man.
Well, I don't know. It's just like pressure, I guess. Entire country wants you to do really well, and then like your captain and your best striker go out, and then you're like, you've got to do it, and then you start losing, and then you just go, oh no, just totally lose it. And basically, they were super emotional.
They got one back.
Yeah, I don't know.
And Germany seemed really annoyed about it.
Yeah, they did. They're like, we must be 100% efficient.
We cannot lose a single goal.
I don't know. They did play really well, and one of those goals, the second to last one or something, was really, really good. The German ones, but they were mostly just tap-ins, weren't they? Because there was no defense at all. Way. Yeah, they just sort of walked around them and tapped it into the goal like 4 times in like 6 minutes.
Yeah, they didn't really have to play any. Yeah, it was 3 times. They didn't really have to play any insane shots or anything like that. It's just like, we can just walk this in. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
everyone have a turn.
Although they did show on the BBC a little graphic of where Klose scored.
Oh yeah,
from.
I saw that. He always scores from like 2 feet away.
Exactly. He's got the most goals in World Cup history, and they're all from like
being a thieving bastard.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, who do you want to win, Argentina or Germany? I'm going to side with the Germans because I generally just don't like the way South Americans play football,
including the Brazilians and the.
Yeah, I just don't. They're such drama queens. You know, any remote, like more than any football is all about being a ridiculous drama queen.
Pretty much.
But the Brazilians, in particular, just take that to another extreme of like, oh, come on, seriously?
Right.
And it gets to the point where, because they do it so much, the ref stops really watching what's going on to a certain degree because they just see something happen and they ignore it because it's like, everyone's play acting. But then that means later on in the game, the Brazilians start getting away with all kinds of crazy stuff.
Genius.
And it's like, and I've seen it, I think it's happened a number of times this World Cup. And it's just super frustrating to watch because you're just like, oh, come on. It's like, I don't particularly care. I don't support either of these teams, but at least I want to see the ref do his job.
Right, and not be ignoring stuff just because they're conditioned by all the dives that everyone's taking.
At least that's my theory anyway. And it's like, it's the same with the time wasting stuff, which has been, I don't remember it ever being quite as bad as it has been this year. It's like, just right, we're two goals up, there's still half an hour left, let's just saunter about. Oh, it's our turn to take the corner. Oh no, wait, no, I don't think I want to take it. Can someone else come from the penalty box and take it, and we'll have a little chat before swapping over? Yeah, is that right? Okay, this ball isn't correctly placed, I just need to wobble it a bit. It's like, oh, for the love of God, play the game.
Yeah, I don't get what's the real.
There was one match where someone actually put anyway. Well, you don't get as much stoppage time as you do the amount of time you've wasted.
Right. Okay.
So it is always in your advantage to do that.
But why don't they? What's the reason you don't get as much stoppage time as you've wasted? Can't the ref just decide to add as much stoppage time as he wants? I guess
that's just arguing for like they should stop the clock, right? Which I think they should.
But the stoppage time is based on something, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be amount of dead time, like sort of, or amount of time that's not been wasted. Like, I guess if someone like kicks it out of play and someone like reacts to it in a reasonable amount of time, I don't think they consider that there's any inclusion for stoppage there. Yeah. But if someone's like they're having a bit of a fight or something, or someone's on the ground for a while and they have to get the medics on and stuff, then that all counts to stoppage.
Yeah.
It's a judgment call. Ultimately.
Football. So
speaking of football, in my Brazilian branded pot noodle, I still haven't had the spinning fork.
Oh, what? What?
No spinning fork deliveries in the last 2 weeks.
Ah. Did you send off for it then, or?
Totally.
You're waiting for it to arrive.
It's like we talked about it so much; it had to happen.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm still waiting for the L-shaped thing. What's it called again?
The noodle tea.
The talk. Is that...
The talk, the noodle tea, the spaghetti.
The noodle tea. Yeah, I can't wait for the market for that.
Have you had any advances in your prototype, Zach? Any better ideas?
No. Not going to think about that again until at least the spinning fork turns up, because maybe the spinning fork is the ultimate tool and we just don't know.
Ah, good. That's a good philosophy, actually. Check out the competition, yeah.
Yeah, are we entering an already crowded marketplace?
I haven't had trades on this podcast for a while, apart from me.
But
what the hell sound is that? Is that the sound?
I like the obligatory length of silence that followed.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether you were going to continue with that thought.
That's just the sort of I don't know. I'm trying to think, wasn't it because Futurama and Simpsons both had the bad laugh to a bad joke, didn't they, or something? Like occasionally someone would go, ha.
What, Nelson's laugh?
No, not the ha. It was more of the bubble sort of ha.
Right.
Terrible joke time.
What would be the Futurama version, though?
I don't know. I'm sure they had one, but I can't really remember. For some reason, I have it in my head that Leela used to do it or something, and be like, whoop, something dumb.
And your version is bah.
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 And Zach's version, if he cares to make a noise, is normally.
Well, I was deliberately not making a noise so as to enhance the fact that I disapproved. I disapproved so much as to not even make any noise at all.
I disapprove of trades on the podcast. Damn it! You got your window open. That's why.
Only one of the ones next to me.
All right.
All the other ones, though, at the back of the room. You won't be able to hear it through those, though.
We just have to do what we do every time and just really emphasize the fact that there's a train. Train!
There's a train coming.
Choo-choo!
You're going to add steam train sound effects to every train that comes past.
Woo-woo!
Well, sometimes there is an actual steam train that goes fast. So, you might not actually have to add sound effects then.
Is there?
Legit.
Steam trains go on that line?
Sometimes. It's like a special train.
Yeah, it sure is.
I don't remember that. Is that a new thing?
It's probably not that new.
Train!
When you started doing that, I thought it was a helicopter.
What, that? The chicka 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 chicka?
Yeah, but you started off with
chopper.
chicka.
Chopper. Go to the chopper. They all sound the same.
About trains, helicopters. It's all the same. Yeah.
Food blenders.
If you hang around, if you hear, you get plenty of bloody helicopters. God damn it! It's the police always hovering over, and they do it in the middle of the night as well, which is annoying.
The time when crimes occur, unfortunately.
Exactly, it's irritating. They need some kind of super stealthy, quiet. I bet, that would be really. There must have been people trying to. It's impossible, I imagine, to make a quiet helicopter. But I bet people have tried.
They did that, didn't they? Because that was that thing about it's in that film, the one about Osama bin Laden, where they have the stealth version of the Black Hawk, but only it's not actually that stealth.
No.
Right? Yeah.
It still can't be. That's why it's stealth in the radar sense, not.
No,
stealth
it's
in
stealth
the
noise
sense
as well. Just that there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
It needs to be shoving a whole lot of air around. That's kind of how helicopters work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Also, how sound works.
So, video games.
Yeah.
Any news this week? News.
It's been a bit weak. I guess it's post E3 time, so not a lot really happens.
Yeah, middle of summer is like dead time for video games, isn't it?
Yeah.
generally. Although, and we've had the summer sale now, so that excitement is done. Do you guys get anything in the sale?
Yeah, I
think we already discussed it, didn't we? On the Steam sale podcast, right at the end, where we're like, oh, did we buy anything after that point? I guess I don't.
Yeah, I think we were midway through when we did the last cast.
I don't remember anything else.
I ended up with a copy of Assassin's Creed 3.
Oh, wait, I do remember something else, actually. I had already purchased it at the time we were recording the last podcast. I just forgot. And I haven't actually played it yet, so I can still talk about it at this point. I'm not spoiling anything for later. It's like I bought the Planetary Annihilation thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. How much is that these
Because
days?
it got cheap enough to be like a normal price instead of insanity like it had been.
Yeah, like whatever the 60, 70 quid buy-ins it was at one point.
More than that at one point, wasn't it? I get, and it was completely unfinished. I mean, is it still unfinished, or is it like? Is it
working on it? But I'm probably not going to play that. Just like I still haven't played Prison Architect. It was just like I saw it at a price that seemed reasonable, and I was like, well, there you go.
I've been hearing a lot of talk about this. You know, like the early access thing keeps spinning. It's the story keeps spinning, but at the same time, it's like. But now people, I think now developers are getting especially worried about like, okay, we've been through early access. We've had a quite successful early access program, but now we've lost all the people who are interested in the game because we've taken what is not an unreasonable amount of time to finish the game.
Right.
And it's like, so when it actually comes out, does anybody care? And
because the people who would have cared have already put into
They've already played it. They've already sort of seen what it's about. And it's like, well, when it comes out, do I really want more of that? Not sure. Or they just don't notice it launches, I guess, is the other thing. I think I had that when... I don't really pay that much attention to early access stuff, but I had... Someone made Sir, You Are Being Hunted part of my radar, and when it actually launched and was no longer early access, it's like, well, I don't know what? Did that happen? Okay. Didn't even realise. I wonder if that's going to be a bit of a common problem with the unbelievable numbers of early access games.
Greenlight games, yeah. Early access. I don't know. Have you ever bought an early access game? Or
no, I haven't.
Me either. I guess, Zach, you've played Starbound and stuff. That's early access.
Yeah, well, sort of, because that wasn't even part of Steam's early access, and it wasn't even a Kickstarter. It was just like they ran their own sort of early access pre-order on their website, and somehow that worked for them, I guess. It didn't have to be tied to any actual of these services specifically designed to do that. They just did it themselves and made a ton of money.
Is it marked as early access on Steam, though, presumably?
I would guess it probably is. I don't actually know. Because it's still... They haven't updated it in like ages, which kind of sucks. And everyone's just like the classic maneuver of just like everyone gradually getting slightly. They have actually managed to like start updating their news posts almost every day now, which is nice. But that just gives people more opportunity to say, when's the next bloody patch coming? When can I actually play all this stuff you're posting about?
It's like when it's. They have a much harder task ahead of them when you do this sort of like early access thing with constant patches, because it's like a game when it comes out, especially multiplayer games, where you have to try and keep your audience in the game by doing like updates, like how TF2 did masterfully back in the day, or how Plants vs. Zombies is doing that right now. And that works, but that's a hard task even at launch, so you get some kind of extended sales of your product rather than it just dropping off as soon as everyone goes, hey, this was all right, wasn't it? And moves on. A bit like, I think, how Titanfall is suffering.
Well, that's not because of early access, though.
No, but there's been player drop-off pretty quick, and it's like, I wonder if, had they had a plan of doing more frequent updates that, keep people coming back, not just DLC packs that people pay money for.
But that's the definition of frequent updates for that kind of game, isn't it? It's like they weren't going to like TF2
and PvZ prove that not to be the case.
Yeah, on free-to-play games.
PvZ isn't free to play.
It was technically, almost.
It's not. it's like £30 buy-in. That's buying a game.
Yeah, but it was basically like £30 might as well be free nowadays. Like it's not 60, and therefore it's cheap.
I very rarely buy games at £30 nowadays.
I don't think I've ever bought a game for 60.
Oh God, no.
Not yet.
That's insane.
You will do soon.
Do you think?
Well, I don't know if you actually will, Dad. Rob might.
Maybe, yeah. Or Titanfall, I think, was the most expensive thing I picked up in recent memory. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I'm quite happy to wait normally. Oh well, that and I guess Mario Kart was like 35. Where I got it from, anyway.
Somehow, that's a Nintendo game. That should have at least been 40.
Yeah, I know. I found a good deal. Did all right, but I tried. I'm not so fussed these days about picking stuff up on launch, like unless it's a game that really benefits from it. Like some of the best times you have with Call of Duty are right at the start, like when everyone's just learning how the new one works.
When everyone sucks.
Yeah, basically.
The only chance to have fun.
I don't know if some of the CODs have maintained funness with me. Not many of them, admittedly. Only the Black Ops games.
Yeah, Black Ops 2?
Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 were both very good for actually the multiplayer being fun, as opposed to being too hardcore. But anyway, we're diverging a little bit.
Yeah, true.
Diverging, tangentializing.
Tangentializing. Neologizing. Coining.
Coining random. So hey, do you guys know of Rebellion, the developer?
Yes.
They've had a couple of boring stories in the last 2 weeks.
Well, yeah. Let's hear those boring stories.
They had a load of Sniper Elite 3 keys stolen and were then sold through third-party providers at a cheaper price.
Wow.
And but instead of like just saying, "Oh shit, that's piracy for you," they've actually revoked all those keys. So the people, the end users, who might have legitimately bought it without realizing that it was coming from a dodgy source, are unfortunately out of pocket.
That sucks. Well, I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I don't know. What stance do you want to take against that, really? It's like, I suppose if you can, it's in your interest to do so, because no money reached Rebellion, no money reached Steam. It's like, I suppose technically they've done the right thing, but at the same time, it's like it's hard luck on the people who thought they were getting a bargain.
Yeah, what sort of places were they buying from?
I don't know.
I would bet that probably most of the people who bought those probably did know that those were dodgy.
Right. Yeah, I'd say it's a fairly safe bet, unless it's some grandma or something buying a game key online.
I found this super cheap deal on through CD Keys or something. Not that CD Keys is disreputable. But it's just an example of somewhere I know where they're just like I think they buy retail products, but like just give you the key for them so you can use them on Steam or something.
Oh, cool. I
Which
guess.
actually, it works out cheaper in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I've heard of a few services that do sort of weird, so you can buy cheaper than Steam but still use it on, just put the key into Steam or whatever.
Yeah.
Weirdly, like Green Man, is it? Green Man Gaming or something?
I've done that with Xbox Live cards a couple of times. Like you just say, "Hey, can I want to increase my subscription?" And they say, "Fine, we'll send you a code," and they do, and it's much cheaper.
Yeah, it's weird because they have to post you a piece of paper as well. They got additional expense.
Well, I guess if you ordered it from a reputable place, but these guys just email you a photo.
Oh, cool, awesome.
So they've already scratched it or something. They have it in their database of what it actually is. It's like they could have just written it down and sent that, but no, they actually send you a photo of the scratched silver crap stuff,
just to add certain legitimacy,
certain authenticity. Yeah.
You almost get that scratch and sniff experience.
Except with all the crap you have to hoover up later.
Yeah. And all the crap under your fingernails or whatever.
I strangely like those things. I don't know why. There's something really satisfying about shaving that silver crap.
Yeah.
I've still got there's a Club Nintendo card sat on my desk that I'm naturally, because I'm talking about it, I've just picked up for no reason, which has one of those silver stripes that I'm yet to scratch, saving it for a special occasion.
It's pristine and ready. Why is it always silver? Is there any reason that it needs to be silver?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think?
Probably so that it obscures what's underneath it better, I guess. I'd bet that's like, or maybe it's like so you can't like photocopy through it or something, so it blocks light specifically.
Right.
I would imagine it's some special kind of chemical.
Or maybe just no one's ever thought of it, because it's like everyone knows what it is if it's silver.
Yeah, that you're not confused. Like if you saw a red strip, you might be a bit like,
I can scratch the red? Where do all these red bloody shavings come on? That's all over the floor. Then they're next to the silver shavings. Oh, okay, those are fine.
Yeah, silver shavings, perfectly normal. So is that your rebellion news?
Well, that was the first part of boring rebellion news. Yeah, no one cares. The second part is that they are trying to stop Ironclad, who are the developers of Sins of a Solar Empire, from using the word rebellion as a subtitle for their next Sins game.
Right.
So they're now Sins of a Solar Empire, Rebellion. And Rebellion don't want them to use the word rebellion.
That's idiotic.
It's totally dumb.
Sins of the Solar Empire thing called?
Oh, I can't remember.
Uprising? I don't know.
That might be.
There was another one with a colon, so I was like, isn't that already out?
Yeah, I think this one's still in development or something. But the thing is they've sort of had some success with this before, like stopping people from using rebellion as part of the title of a game.
Okay.
And so this is although I think this is the first time where there's actually some amount of argument about it, where it might not actually be upheld, or it hasn't really been upheld. I can't remember.
Apparently they did a really good job of defending this trademark or whatever since this game came out on the 12th of June 2012.
Oh, did it? Or maybe that's the reason. Maybe it came out and they're like retroactive.
Your news is so boring, it's like 2 years old.
But no, the suit's only just happening. But, I suppose it's a bit
late. I'm sure there's like some kind of like you have to defend your trademark within a certain period of time, and surely 2 years must be longer than that.
Yeah, the game's done, like it's sold, and now it's.
Oh, really? Okay.
And rebellion, like that's just a normal word.
Yeah, well, it's like Saga, isn't it? Where like King was trying to stop the Banner Saga by using the word Saga.
Oh, it's absurd. Like, you could easily call the new Assassin's Creed game Assassin's Creed Rebellion. Like, it makes more sense. It's set in the French Revolution than Unity,
at least,
or whatever.
At least with Trenched, there was actually an existing entertainment product called Trenched.
Yeah. That makes
that one. That one you can sort of understand.
Trenched isn't a word, really. Is it? Entrenched is a word. But trenched isn't a word. So that's more trademarky because it's like a unique
fake
name,
word,
somewhat. Yeah. Whereas rebellion is just a normal word.
It's dumb. It's really, there's been a lot of this trademark news of late, and it's just
boring.
Crazy. Yeah, and boring.
Yeah.
And definitely boring. Slightly less boring.
Yeah.
Apparently the Sonic 2 HD fan project is alive again.
Oh, I saw
after it died like a couple of years ago.
Oh, I don't think this is related, but in Sonic news I saw a fan made like a CG redo of a cutscene from Sonic.
Yeah, I watched that.
Which was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you would watch that crappy scene and think I'm inspired to like make it awesome, but apparently somebody did.
It wasn't bad. It was well animated. Although I kind of like because they removed some of the errors that were in the original one, such as the weird overlapping voice. Yeah. But I kind of like that thinking about it. It's like, you're the fake. I'll make you eat those words. It's like
it's all totally busted and weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like it like that.
Sure. Anyway, what's the Sonic HD?
So the Sonic 2 HD project originally kind of died because they fell out with their programmer. Yeah, they only had one, and he was a dick. He basically just was being all arsey and didn't end up wanting to sort of share out the code or some stuff like that for his Sonic engine, and everyone fell out, basically. Anyway. Yeah, everyone fell out, and so the project was considered dead. But they found someone raised. I say they found someone, but another sort of enterprising programmer just sort of said, "Hey, I've made this Sonic engine. That's pretty good. What do you guys think?" They took a look at it, agreed it was pretty good, and now they're using that instead.
So is this is this related to that amazing engine? It's like that port
the Sonic
that guy
CD
did.
thing.
Yeah,
no, this is different guys, but
okay, cool.
Because I don't know, the guy that had his Sonic CD work taken care of might probably be under some sort of agreement with Sega not to do it again. I don't know.
Well, because they used it, right, on the actual...
Yeah, they ended up just sort of hiring him and saying, "This is pretty good, can we have it?"
Yeah, that's cool. Anyway, so they've got a new guy.
Yeah, so in theory, they already have a ton of assets, redoing all the artwork and... I don't know if you just heard that. Noise, but I don't know what it was.
Not a train.
It's not a train. But hopefully they still have all their assets, and they had people redoing the music, they had people doing a lot of the artwork, and there was quite a large amount of it by the sounds of it. So presumably, when they get started on it, it's just okay, how do we get these assets into this engine? And let's hope. Fingers crossed. Let's hope. It was looking real good.
So what's the project? Just remake Sonic 2? Yeah,
just make Sonic 2 as close to the original as they can, but to build everything themselves and in full HD.
Okay. Well, that could be pretty cool, I guess. That was a good one.
Sonic 2 is, to a lot of people, that's the best Sonic game.
Yeah.
I mean, not to me. I'm a Sonic 3 person, but...
Sure, well, both of you are, aren't you, Zach?
Probably.
Was that just because you had that on?
Well, we had the PC version, and we played it to death.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, wasn't it?
Yeah, the combination. I mean, they're technically two separate games, but you could, the PC version had them combined.
Yeah. But on the Mega Drive or the Genesis or whatever, you had to actually plug them together. So what did you buy? Sonic, you had to buy Sonic and Knuckles, that's right. And Sonic 3. And then you plug them together. Yeah,
I think it worked with all three of the previous Sonic games, in fact, because if you plugged Sonic 3 in, you'd get Sonic 3 and Knuckles as one big game. If you plugged Sonic 2 in, you could play as Knuckles in Sonic 2. Which was clever, because they can't have planned it at that point. And in Sonic 1, that actually didn't do anything to Sonic 1, but unlocked a secret game on the Sonic and Knuckles cart, which is basically a special stage mode.
Right, yeah. Cool.
So Sonic 2 HD, come on!
Do you think they'll get on to Sonic 3 HD?
Yeah. I went and had a look of... I really hope so. I went and had a quick look, because I remembered at some point that Time Splitters Rewind is still a thing. And just sort of see how they were getting on. A while back, they posted a little video of them rebuilding one of the levels and updating some of the effects and stuff, so it has nice rain effects and nice shiny floors and stuff. But it's still a level from Time Splitters, and you can totally tell which level it is, and it's... probably needs a bit more texture work, if you ask me, but it looks pretty good. And apparently they're gearing up for some sort of proper announcement or an alpha release. And it's like, ooh.
Ooh. Interesting.
I really hope that thing comes up as well. turning Time Splitters into a PC multiplayer shooter. Come on!
I know. With all those crazy monkeys and shit.
It'd be so awesome.
Like, I don't know what's going on at Crytek UK.
Yeah, I suppose that's news in a way, but it's not really news because it's all rumour and speculation that apparently, like, Crytek are in a bit of trouble right now.
We know a guy there, right? Maybe we could ask him, but we probably can't reveal it.
Or you probably can't say anything.
Yeah.
I mean, anecdotal evidence that I've been reading about suggests that some developers and some staff haven't been paid for months.
Right. That's pretty
which
bad.
is always a bad sign.
That's a very bad sign.
The other rumour flying around is that Rise 2 has been cancelled.
Right.
Because of disagreements with Microsoft about who actually owned it.
Oh, okay. Did that sell that thing? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it might have done all right because it's a launch game, and launch games generally tend to do all right regardless. Apart from Knack. Apparently Knack did really badly.
Right. Yeah, that was bad though, right?
Yeah, that was just a boring game.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's. I don't know. I was listening to this is a podcast talking about other podcasts, but Giant Bomb went off on like sort of how they feel about Crytek as a company, and I sort of have to agree with them. They are a bit weird,
right? Yeah, they've always been a bit weird, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the original Crysis. I say the original Crysis. I mean, Far Cry and then Crysis are kind of they were groundbreaking games.
Yeah.
But then, sort of since then, what really have they been? They've been kind of weird. Like they moved away from what they seemed to be pioneering in Crysis 2 and made a more linear shooter.
Yeah. It seemed like they went quite heavily into like engine tech. Basically, they always had great engine tech, but like it seemed like they put even more focus on like the most graphics.
They really tried to license it out, and I'm not sure they got very far. The only game I can think of that actually ran CryEngine that wasn't any of that was Nexus or NextWiz.
Right. Isn't Star
that?
Citizen based on CryEngine?
I don't know. Isn't that Sonic Boom based on CryEngine?
Right, yeah. Because Star Citizen's quite a big project. I know it's just a Kickstarter, but it's like...
Well, yeah, that's probably the biggest project ever.
Biggest Kickstarter ever, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how it compares to normal AAA games. Probably not that close.
I don't know, yeah. Put it and GTA next to each other, so you would.
No, it'd be nowhere near GTA, I wouldn't have thought. But yeah. But yeah, Crytek.
I mean, what? Because they don't remember Warface? That's a thing.
Yeah, Warface.
It's a weird free-to-play game. And apparently they had a weird sort of like, I don't know, like a community system or digital distribution platform of their own or something that was called G-Face or something.
Right.
I don't know if I'm remembering that right, but
I don't know.
Doing some weird stuff.
But yeah, let's hope things go a bit better for Crytek UK, aka Free Radical.
Yeah.
the awesome Time Splitters people.
Just let them work on Time Splitters.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad enough.
I think everyone wants them to, and I think they want to.
Yeah. Because they've been messed around a lot. I mean, they canned that Battlefront game they were making, and that looked like it was almost finished.
Yeah. I wonder if in a way that was because of all the licensing stuff, like rather than the quality of the game.
Yeah, it could be.
Like, given that the license then slipped and then EA kind of were able to buy everything.
Mm. So, in other bad studio news, Neversoft closed this week, finally.
Yeah, it's officially now just Infinity Ward.
And they burned their logo in effigy, which was quite
Yeah, it was a great photo, but it's like, oh man, they could have sold that.
Well, yeah.
Someone would have given that a home.
Oh, wait, I see what you mean. I thought you just meant the concept of the logo, not an actual physical logo. It's like, you could have sold that logo.
Yeah, someone would have had the eyeball.
Man. Used to like Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk was good.
Yeah, again, groundbreaking games. First two.
Tony Hawk 2.
And to a lesser extent, the third. Yeah.
And 3, yeah. 2 was probably the best, maybe. I don't know. 3 was like more refined.
Yeah, but they didn't really add many mechanics to that. Well, I suppose they added manuals in 3.
No, 2 had manuals, but 3 had revert, which meant you could actually link the pipe, the quarter pipe tricks to the manuals. So that kind of completed the system, because you couldn't in 2 with you had manuals, so you could go from rail trick to manual to rail track and combo forever. But as soon as you did a quarter pipe trick, you lost the combo. So
and then they sort of started getting desperate past those 3.
Yeah,
I forget, was it like Tony Hawk's Underground? Was that the 4th? Or when they started going a bit open worldy? And
there was a Tony Hawk's 4, wasn't there? I think, and the 4 Underground, yeah, but that was a bit open worldy. I think it was the first of the effort to go. I mean, it went a bit off the. I'm not sure if you could get off your board in 4. Maybe that was Underground, but yeah,
there was something about the fact that everything was limited to a 2-minute run.
Yeah.
There's something about those that sort of kept you coming back, and it's, I don't know, as much as I kind of appreciate them for what they do, games like Skate and stuff, I'm not sure I would really get into.
I quite enjoyed the first Skate. That was good. I mean, it wasn't as cool as, it didn't have the same arcadiness as Tony Hawk. It was like,
no, it was realism focused, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I liked it. It was a bit more punishing. Like in Tony Hawk, you just went by the time you did a bunch of tricks, you were just going at like 100 miles an hour, basically.
Yeah,
it was totally insane
and flying like 40 odd foot in the air every time.
Yeah, which was awesome, clearly. But yeah, no, Skate was cool. I felt like that didn't get better, really. I thought they, like, the first one seemed a little bit rough around the edges, maybe, and I thought, well, the series will mature or whatever. But I don't think that kind of fizzled out faster than Tony Hawk ever did, I feel.
They made 3 of them.
I know.
That's the weird thing about that. It's like, that was not a game that I thought, well, even after the second one came out, and it's like, okay, what have you improved? I don't really know. And then there's another one, and they did the same again, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Other than allowing us to make hilarious physics videos.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing about Skate, probably. I don't know. I remember liking Skate, but I think I got all the way to the end of Skate, which is quite unusual for that sort of game. For me, I think. But yeah, I when I look back, like Tony Hawk's, I have fonder memories of than Skate, I would say. And yeah, because it had the soundtrack and shit.
Yeah, soundtracks. Well, if you're making a skating game and your soundtrack sucks, you have ruined what is a massive part of those games.
Yeah,
you've got to get that right.
Tony Hawk 2 soundtrack was freaking awesome. All that
amazing
punk hardcore stuff. So good.
Bit of Papa Roach. I'm going in a cyclone or something.
Yeah, running in a cyclone. Yeah,
that's it.
Was that Dub Pistols or whatever? That was cool. Yeah. And a little bit of a little smattering of Rage. Didn't it have Guerrilla Radio or something?
Oh yeah, it did.
Yeah. And and it had the remotes. Didn't it have Blitzkrieg Bop in it? I don't think I was aware.
Yes, it did have
when
that.
we were playing that in like 98 or whatever, I don't think I was actually aware of the remotes. So
no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
That was my first exposure.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Get people like Zach listening to the Ramones. It's quite unusual. It's a rare game that can do that.
It wasn't like I went out and bought any music. I just inherited your music.
That's true.
I never purchased any music ever. Actually, that's not strictly true. I've purchased maybe one album and 5 individual tracks in my entire life, probably.
No, you buy OSTs and shit, and like
yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like one album.
What was that? Like the Super Meat Boy soundtrack or something?
The Fez one.
The Fez one. Okay.
Good choice.
Don't you? I want to see, actually. I don't know if they'll come to London sometime, but I was wondering about going to see Anna Managuchi, who did the soundtrack to the Scott Pilgrim game. Would you come and see that, Zach? Come to a gig, go see Chitchin craziness.
Potentially.
Yeah. That would rock.
Yeah. Have you seen their gigs? It's quite like videos.
I haven't, no.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. Yeah, so that's quite funny. But that was a good soundtrack because they did the whole thing, right?
They did all of the games soundtrack.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Properly good. That's an OST I have.
Yeah, there you go. They've got an album, yeah. So check that out. If you like that OST, get.
There's some of their stuff's on Last FM as well.
Oh right, that's cool.
You can. It got recommended to me. I think when I was. I think I found like it connected me with the Fez soundtrack through Disaster Piece.
Right.
Like because Disaster Piece has some stuff up there, I think, and then it moved onto them, just in the land of chiptunes. Kind of cool.
Because that rapper Kitty I like tours with them sometimes. She toured with Danny Brown, and that was quite stressful, I think. And then touring with Adam Adaguchi was a lot more fun, I imagine.
Yeah, I always imagine Danny Brown to be probably a bit heavy. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of drugs, I think, involved.
Well, even now.
Well, less so now.
Isn't half of his rap about like being a little bit off it now?
Yeah, that's true. But it's all relative, I think.
Blunt after blunt after blunt after blunt.
Exactly. Oh man, love Danny Brown. Anyway,
smoke.
Yeah. Do you listen to old Rob? He's good. His old album from last year.
No, I haven't.
I'll check that out if you've got like Spotify or whatever. Or whatever you use, Last FM. Be on there. Last FM. I've been trying to use Spotify.
Shameless plug. I have a SoundCloud account now.
What is it? Glacial Spoon?
Yeah, Glacial Spoon. And I will endeavour to post some stuff up there.
Oh, I have to check that out, man. Have you got new stuff up there?
Not really. I've posted up my mix that I did of my interpretation, I should say, of Saria's song.
Oh yeah.
I did a while back, and I'll post up my Clotho remix as well at some point.
Saria song, it's a classic. Especially that guy, that one Goron, right? Who gets super into it. Yeah. Genius. News.
I've got 4 more bits of news about games about stuff that's not out. Like these could be probably little things.
Are they actually news?
Sort of. It's half news. You know that we had a bit of we made the point of saying that the voice work in Destiny sounded a bit weird, or like a bit phoned in, or not quite right.
Yeah, did you say that, or was that just like?
Well, I think it was just sort of general opinion. I wasn't so bad on it because I thought, oh, okay, they're going for the fact that this robotic thing called Ghost is robotic, and therefore his intonation is a bit weird.
Yeah,
that's fine. I can sort of understand that, but a lot of people had a problem with that, including Kippers. And so the guy that does that is Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
From Game of Thrones fame.
Yeah.
And apparently Bungie have sort of come out saying, hey guys, don't worry, the Ghost voice work isn't final, which means they're getting Dinklage back in to redo it? It's like, I don't know.
But does it, though? I don't know. Maybe they have... Yeah, maybe it means that, but they can't be doing that.
Or they fired him.
No, I think it's definitely still him, but they did say like none of the voice work that you've heard so far is final.
But it was a bit strange, especially that wizard came from the moon. I mean, how do you say that seriously?
That's the best line. It's like I saw the X-Men film recently, and he's in that.
Right.
He has a pretty big, but he plays that kind of flat as well. It's like I don't know if that's just Dinklage. Also, Dinklage.
I don't know, because in Game of Thrones, I think I've only seen him in Game of Thrones. I haven't seen the X-Men film, even though I hear it's quite good, so I might see that.
It's all right. It's not to my taste. It's a good. It's a good film, but not.
Yeah,
not for me so much.
But in Game of Thrones, I'm pretty sure he's pretty much the only American in Game of Thrones, I think. So. And so he's putting on a sort of English accent, I think, which is a bit weird. I mean, it's fine, it works, but I don't actually know what he actually sounds like.
Yeah,
I don't think, because he puts on this slightly strange. You don't notice it after a while, but he's putting on a slightly strange accent in Game of Thrones.
I suppose you can always argue that it's a fantasy world. People make strange accents. It's fine.
It's a totally fantasy setting. I mean, none of it makes any sense because. The Lannisters, he's part of this family, the Lannisters, and he's got a kind of weird American, he's putting it on, and then 2 of them are English and quite posh, and then his brother is the actor is Dutch, I think so. Like, even though they're all in the same family, they all sound totally different to each other, which is really weird. Anyway,
stop, Dinklage.
Yeah, I mean, his accent isn't too bad, but none of them are that bad. It's quite a good show, but yeah, it's noticeable.
Yeah, still not watched any of it.
Oh well, yeah.
I'm watching like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got really good.
Really?
I stuck with it, and it's got I'm really enjoying it now. I'm in.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Who's doing? Is what's his face anything to do with that? Whedon.
Whedon? No, I'm not sure he is.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, he's too busy now making.
I mean, there's some of his style to it, so maybe he is involved. You know, there's like the occasional way that jokes are told and stuff feels a bit Firefly-esque.
Yeah, Whedon-esque. Yeah. That's the name of his fan site, isn't it? Whedon-esque.
That's great. So, other not out news. Fortnite's totally real. They released gameplay footage.
Oh, right. There were people thinking...
Fortnite exists.
Okay. People are saying, this isn't real. It's
not a real game, come on.
This is fake.
And consider me massively underwhelmed.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a tower defense game. Like, you remember... we did that mod. We played that mod a while back in Gary's mod, I think it was. A mod for Gary's mod. And where you basically just used the physics and the world to like build a ridiculous fort, and then there was a button you pushed and monsters came.
Right.
It's that.
Okay.
That's the game.
Well, that doesn't sound too appealing.
No. It's like, it doesn't... I wouldn't even say it looks brilliant, for an Epic game. They've gone for a sort of cartoony art style, which isn't really a way of showing off U-Engine, surely. But so at this point, I'm just totally not sure. It's not what I expected at all. There's no giant guys in massive power armor with unnecessary lights.
But you need that. The unnecessary lights.
Where's my gravity boots?
Thing. Yeah.
And energy lassos. And copious amounts of pointless swearing. That's an Epic game. Although apparently Blazinski is out of retirement.
Yeah, what did he say? Did he actually say he's not making games?
I think he did at one point, yeah.
Okay.
And now he's making games again, so...
I don't know what's going on there. Epic need to, like...
Yeah, what are they doing? Like, outside of their engine stuff and, whatchamacallit,
they're like two-man team on Unreal or on Unreal Tournament or whatever. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that open source effort, but I might go on GitHub and see what's going on, how many commits they've made to their repo.
Yeah, maybe the worries about Crytek should be more directed at Epic, but then again, Epic probably have so much money in the kitty at this point.
Yeah, they're fine with their engine, I'm sure, because that gets licensed all over the place, unlike the Cry engine.
Well, 3 does, but what's going to happen to 4 at the moment? We still haven't really seen... I suppose, is everyone waiting for the classic, Epic need to make a game with Unreal Engine before we'll consider using it?
Maybe.
Like, because, the engine is never finished or until Epic release a game. That was how they always used to work.
Yeah. But what have they got? What are they going to do? They can't make more gears.
Fortnite.
Yeah, Fortnite.
Although, I can sort of see the name now, because you're making a fort and the battle happens at night.
Lame.
Wow, did it really take you that long to realise that?
Well, no, but not until I saw the video, obviously. Then it was like, I see what they've done now. So there.
I can't believe they put massive resources into a tower defense game and like very few resources into
Unreal Tournament,
arena shooter. Yeah.
Then again, I guess arena shooter is unproven right now in terms of popularity.
That's true. But, I don't know. I guess speaking of
multiplayer shooters, more TF2 maps are coming.
Well, maybe.
And maybe, I guess, yeah, because they're now offering a mode you can access in the normal version of the game where you can play on the beta versions of maps.
Yeah, for testing them out.
That Valve are considering.
That's cool. I wouldn't do that myself. And let everyone else test out all the crapness in the maps. And
it makes you wonder.
It's not like there isn't. I can think of probably 2 or 3 maps that have been around on the servers we played on for ages and have had so many revisions that they're practically like finished. And it's like, why have these never? It's like, I can't remember the name. The one with the stupid, Cashworks, the one with the vault. That's practically a map that they could just take.
I always liked that level. It's dumb. It's a really dumb level, but it's kind of fun.
And they haven't. The thing that always gets me is there's a map in the game called Snakewater.
Mm.
The one with the well, it's one of the new ones, so Rob won't even know, so I'm not even going to try to describe it.
No, I think, we've played Snakewater a number of times, or at least some of the previous revisions of it.
But then what is the other map called that sounds like Snakewater, but it's a payload map?
Oh.
Is that Clearwater
is that the one with
something?
Is that the one with the cliff where there's a section where the cart that goes right next to it's on the side of a building pretty much, and there's just a big expanse off one side of it?
No, that's a different map.
That's a different one. Oh, okay.
It's the one where you push it in, push it down, and then at the end there's a bunch of radioactive barrels in like a pit, and that's what explodes.
Oh, okay, with you.
What is that map called? Because I always think of that as Snakewater, and it's like, it's not Snakewater because that other map's called Snakewater.
Yeah, that's the one that starts in the green area with the trenches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That one's been revised quite a lot. I remember some of the changes to that.
I just always get that confused with Snakewater now, because every time I see Snakewater come up on the map site, I'm like, oh, it's that map, and it's like, oh wait, hang on, this is payload.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember.
It's like Clearwater or something, it must be.
Yeah.
It's got water in the name, I'm fairly sure. And that's what confuses me.
But new maps. Potentially
new maps.
Yep. And other games that I knew this was coming, but by name only. There's a game called Battleborn that's being made by Gearbox. And apparently it's quite a lot of the original team that worked on Borderlands, the first Borderlands.
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason this has sort of caught my interest suddenly is because I found out that it may be another attempt at making a MOBA, but with first-person shooter mechanics. So a bit of me was like, Monday Night Combat? Can someone do this well?
Well, Gearbox are a decent candidate, right? And Borderlands, I mean, that's a totally different style, but at least they're used to bending the first-person shooter in ways that most don't. This is going totally the other way, isn't it? This is like, they made it, they turned the FPS into an RPG. Now they're turning it into a MOBA.
Yeah. But yeah, I get the only example I can think of that have done that before really is, I guess, Monday Night Combat. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bez. I'm struggling to think of something right now. But
I wouldn't have said there was any more particularly famous ones. But when Monday Night Combat made
could you argue like Future Cop was technically one of the first MOBAs?
Yeah,
your favourite.
But it's like Monday Night Combat wasn't even a MOBA. That was like before MOBAs were even a thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really it wasn't trying to replicate a MOBA. It was just a thing that they came up with.
I suppose Dota 1 would have been around before.
Well, yeah. I mean, probably several of those would have been around before,
but it wasn't obviously influenced by Dota.
Not now, where everyone knows what a MOBA is. And
So do you think now that, if that genre is more established, it'd be, easier to make a hybrid with
maybe
shooter?
It depends how much they keep. I think if they did just make a first-person shooter that was a MOBA, then maybe that wouldn't be interesting enough.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with that because that solves the control issue that I have with League and Dota.
Might be a bit bored by having one map in the first.
Well, yeah.
I guess
I don't know. Maybe FPS.
People play 2-4, don't they? For fuck's sake, well, they used to.
It really depends on what they do with it. Yeah, it really depends how far they go. I mean, I don't know if like the one map design is something that's just specific to those types of games. I don't know. And maybe in like FPS, you can break that a little bit because your movement is more fluid. You have more movement capability, so maybe you can do more with it. in the same way that like Awesome Noughts doesn't have a large number of maps, but it has like 4 or 5 that do mix things up enough to keep things interesting.
Indeed. Oh, well, we'll have to see what they come up with.
Yeah, so that entered my radar simply for those two phrases mashed together. And final bit of news that I have, in desperation to shift some more bones, X-Bones, to 360 owners, Microsoft have been offering certain 360 owners in the US a $75 store credit when they upgrade. And it's like, $75, that's quite a deal.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to buy a game, aren't you? So, I mean,
yeah.
You're going to be spending money straight away anyway, right? So,
yeah,
effectively, it's like a price cut almost.
That was
I can't believe that was loud enough for the microphone to pick it up.
Was that you?
It was quite loud.
Right, so that's a whole game and a bit, right?
Even
in
pretty much.
The US, right?
A game and maybe an arcade title, whatever you call them now, like a smaller game.
Yeah, a little indie game of some kind.
Yeah, maybe Peg or two. That's it. I'm out of news.
Cool. We've done the news section.
Good.
So move on.
I managed to eke that out longer than perhaps I should.
Probably.
Good. So Zach. Well, Zach.
Unless anyone else has any more boring news.
No, I'm fresh out of dullness, I'm afraid. We've got some interesting stuff, but I can't really. Doesn't really fit with the theme this week.
Did you see that one of the alt costumes for Mario is going to be Stars and Stripes?
Yeah.
Smash Brothers.
And wasn't there like Samus in white or something? Crazy white
that's in that.
Skeleton. Yeah, I mean, are they going to have loads of that? I mean, that's 2. Are they going to have all going to have?
Well, normally there's at least 4 variants, isn't there?
Yeah, but they're just colour palette swaps normally. It's not like actual costumes.
But these are actual costumes.
Apart from maybe like Dark Link or whatever, but that's still technically a palette swap, I guess.
Yeah, what's the Mario things is just a texture change.
Yeah, but it's a texture. That's kind of the important bit. It's not just different colours.
He's still the same model. He's still wearing dungarees. The Stars and Stripes dungarees. With the red and blue is the other way around.
That makes no sense anyway. In any case, no matter how you look at it, because it's like he's Italian and Nintendo is a Japanese company.
Wasn't he from Brooklyn?
Only in that specific version of the universe, where it's like I'm not sure if anyone considers that canon.
What, from the Super Show and the film?
Yeah, exactly.
And presumably whatever voices they gave him in the cartoon series, like the other cartoons. It was always like,
would those have just been like, bad translate? I don't know. Were those cartoons ever actually out in Japan? Like first?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Probably not. Probably not.
That was
Wave
weird.
your arms from side to side.
That was just a guy. That's a different matter.
Do the Mario. What have you been playing?
That's a good question. I've been playing Broken Age. I played a bit.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. I played the Shay, the boy trapped on the spaceship line of story, because there's 2. It's Double Fine Adventure, isn't it? They say they kickstarted it, and but it turned into this game Broken Age. So it's Tim Schafer, point and click adventure.
The first of 2 parts.
Yeah, indeed. And I gather that you buy it and then you get the second part, whatever. You'd have to pay for that, right? Because it's like the game's unfinished.
I thought so. I'm not 100% on that, but
I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind.
You're right. Yeah.
But that would be cool if I get that for free. But I bought it in the Steam sale anyway, so.
Oh, Double Fine news.
Back to news.
Fandango is coming to PC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the
new version.
Damn well should. Yes, awesome. So I can play it. Hooray.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
I'm still not sure how I feel about that. Like, what's wrong with Grim Fandango already? But, I mean, admittedly, it's hard to control.
And difficult to actually make run.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the only issue, right? If they could just, like, make a nice Steam version of it for a start. Anyway,
I don't know if they could if they're doing the whole thing like rendered in 3D and stuff with modern controls, then that's an enormous step up.
Yeah,
they don't have to change anything else.
But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a remake. Like they're going to like redo it. I don't think it's. Like
I think it's going to be like ground up, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that means like.
Oh no, I'd imagine they wouldn't change everything. I hope that it's the same game but in a new dressing.
Yeah. Well, it'll be cool. I love Grim Fandango anyway, so that's awesome. I mean, if it means they go on and make another Grim Fandango game, that would be amazing. I mean, that would be a gigantic effort, but yeah. Anyway.
Sorry. Yeah.
So, Broken Age, though. Yeah, that's cool. That's good to know. So I was playing... So there's two storylines in Broken Age, and they're kind of... I haven't seen where they interleave yet, but there's the boy... and the girl. So there's the boy trapped on a spaceship with a computer who's grown up with, and she's controlling his whole life and like mothering him. But she literally called mother, and he's like trapped doing these like really tame missions in inverted commas that to keep him occupied, which actually are just nothing and just there to keep him as safe as possible. And so he's just trying to find a way to break out of the monotony of life. But of course, he doesn't really... I think once he gets into sort of more dangerous things, like once he manages to subvert the status quo, of course he doesn't... Right, I don't think he appreciates like what dangers there really are in the universe. He just wants to get out of the grind. So I think something...
Doesn't know what danger is.
Yeah, exactly. So, and... I only realised by the time I'd finished the first few sets of puzzles and stuff and gone through that he's voiced by Elijah Wood. I think it's a good performance. Yeah, it's not bad. You wouldn't know, I don't think. Well, maybe you would if you were listening for it. But I mean, he does a good sort of. I mean, the art is really beautiful, and it's a very simple thing. You can tell that it's it's designed to work on iPad or whatever. Like, there's very minimal kind of. There's no interaction beyond a click, really. There's no like, there's no like different actions like pick up or use or anything like in more traditional point and click. Like they've been trying to cut down on that since the beginning, right? Tim Schafer games.
since the crazy amount of options that you had in the original Scum games.
Yeah,
where you had to get the correct verb for what you were trying to do to. Sort of like, I don't know, Sam & Max kind of refined it a bit where the only option was to do something or do something with an item.
Yeah. I mean, but even then you had like look, didn't you? And talk in Sam & Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. This doesn't have like, so it used to be like look, talk, use, pick up. Something like that. Anyway, but now it's pretty much just click. You even get like a little hover, tooltip thing. I suppose you wouldn't get that on the iPad, but yeah, it's pretty obvious which areas are interactable and which aren't, and you just have. But that's cool because it doesn't really because it's designed cleverly enough that you can still have interesting puzzles and stuff, even though you don't need all this complex UI in order to interact with the game. And it's really nicely put together. But the puzzles aren't difficult at all, at least not as far as I've got. So it's more like absorbing the story and enjoying the jokes and it's quite gentle. It's not like laugh out loud funny all the time. Well, it's pretty funny, but it's not. It's atmospheric. It's not like packed with gags or whatever. It's not like Sam & Max, which is packed with gags, right? Would you say?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, exactly. There's some really funny stuff.
Pretty much every exchange has some sort of little thing in there.
Yeah, whereas this hasn't got quite that. But it's really well put together. And I've yet to see the girl story, so I'll update you on that part. But I enjoyed it.
So you're doing it that way around, yeah? Because I think a lot of what I've heard about that is people have been playing it that way. Like stick to one of the stories, see it through till the end of the part,
because you
then
could
shift
switch
to the other side.
Yeah, you can switch, but I think it's it kind of drew me in what was going on there, so I kind of stuck that out, so that's cool.
Yeah, I suppose the switching mechanic is only, as I say, is only good if for some reason you're not drawn in.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it'd be handy if you got stuck and you wanted to like think about it or something. Then you could switch to the other one, and make progress there while you were thinking about it. But no, I didn't have a need to do that. So
intriguing.
Yeah, so pretty good.
But so far, gets the Saladcast recommendation from the Dan.
Yeah, I'd say so. Definitely play it.
Thumbs up.
I mean, I like pretty much anything that Tim Schafer has done over the years. I like Psychonauts. I suppose you were the one that played Brutal Legends, right?
Yeah, I
never played that.
Mechanically, it's a very weird game.
Yeah,
but
see, that's where this one is like super, like straight down the middle. Point and click. There's almost no mechanics to it. It's like whereas Brutal Legend was like trying to do a whole RTS thing by the end of it, wasn't it? Which is not necessarily.
It didn't really work on that level, but the setting of the reason I got into Brutal Legend was the world, and pretty much any time anyone speaks.
Yeah. Well, he writes it. That's the thing, isn't it? He writes these games, so I mean, his dialogue is just really good, really funny. Characters and stuff. It's cool. So, Broken Age the spaceship has like a the way it travels. It has a kind of central fast and light engine room thing, which has this character called the Space Weaver who weaves like a tapestry which goes into the engine and powers the FTL or whatever, the navigation.
This is sounding a bit like Wanted.
It's exactly like Wanted, yeah. yeah. The loom of doom. Yeah, pretty much. But I thought that was kind of a cool concept, other than the fact that maybe it's stolen from Wanted.
Yeah, on its own, it sounds cool, doesn't it? It's like, how do we get about space so fast? Well, we have to weave our way through space in a certain way. And it's like, how do you do that? By weaving.
Literal weaving. Yeah, so the Space Weaver's kind of cool. And it fits in with the kind of aesthetic.
For some reason, the Space Weevil.
What, like the pest, the insect thing? Space
Weevil.
I always think of the Jack White cover of the Boll Weevil song whenever I think of Weevils. You ever hear that?
No.
They used to do it at the end of the White Stripes sets. Like in the early days, it would be like the last kind of farewell jokey song. It would be like the Ballad of the Boll Weevil. Because there was a drought. No, what happened? Oh, yeah. So the boll weevils came to the south at some point and destroyed all the crops, which was a disaster. But then, and it meant that because they were relying on one crop, like cotton or something, I don't know what boll weevil eats. Anyway, but the fact that the weevil came and destroyed it meant they had to diversify, which actually improved things. So the boll weevil became like a hero or something. And they've got like statues of the weevil and stuff. It's like, saved us.
Praise the weevil.
Yeah, and they got songs written about the weevil, like that one.
All right then.
Yeah,
Space
check
Weevil.
it out. Space Weevil. I would play that if there was a game called Space Weevil.
There probably already is. Probably.
Something in the back of my mind is saying that something has used a Space Weevil before.
Well, tons of things have used Space Weevils before. It's a generic, like, pest in space. It's the Space Weevil. It's like Red Dwarf is one that I can think of.
That might be the
definitely
one
had Space Weevils.
Really?
Yeah, so I remember that now. Yeah.
Okay, now we know where it's coming from.
They're kind of like big furry slug things in that, weren't they?
I'm not sure they showed them very often, but yes, I think they might have been.
It's like a sock puffer or something.
Well, yeah, I'm sure it was just pretty much just a sock. I would guess that's probably literally what it was.
Yeah, if you search for Space Weevil, it's entirely Red Dwarf based links.
Didn't he eat a Space Weevil once?
Well, of course. Why else would it exist?
Space Weevils. Cool. Anything more on Broken Age?
No, that's cool. I'll update you next time.
Good.
Time to move on. Who wants to go first?
Second.
You went first.
I mean, out of you two, Pauls. You're going second, Zach. That
Am
means
I?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
What have you been playing, Zach?
Well, it's weirdly I don't remember again.
Nothing. Okay, moving on.
Which is one of those. It's one of those weird things where it's like I definitely felt like there should have been more stuff last week, but there wasn't. I remember playing Banished, but that was mostly this week again. So yeah, I played some more of that. I'm nearly done with it, I guess. It's like I've nearly got all the achievements.
Nearly completed all its silly challenges.
Yes, although surprisingly, like the hardest one's looking like it's going to be the one where you have to not build any schools, because I didn't realise like how shit your people are when they're uneducated.
Right.
It's like they're like 50% worse, but like you don't really realise how incredibly difficult that makes everything until you try it, and it's like holy crap, everything just runs out of resources almost immediately, and everyone dies. So yeah, I've been trying to work out a plan for that. I think I've worked one out now to do with like basically trading, like get into trading really early and keep a small population, and then just build up a reserve before you actually expand. That's my plan.
Just go slow, basically, is it? Or...
Well, the trouble is, you like. Well, no, I guess there's no time limit on that achievement. But the only other achievement I've still got to do is like have 500 population after 200 years, which should be enough time to transition this town from being uneducated to being educated at some point, in theory. Because I don't think it will take me 200 years to get through this trading malarkey. So yeah, there's that.
Okay. Are there updates coming for that game? I thought I saw.
Well, he's working on mod compatibility.
Right.
Or, well, mod tools, I guess, sort of. Modding. Which apparently is going to be quite easy to do because of the way he programmed the thing. It's like it's basically already set up to do mods. You just drop them in a folder, and then he just made a UI to have it look at the folder.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not sure whether how much that will, because that seems like, I don't know. It was one of those. I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's like mod compatibility is like a big thing. It's like with Starbound. They have a mod site for uploading your mods into the forum structure, and then like you get the mods, and they have versioning and all that stuff, or they did. Then they tried to get rid of it, and then it came back, and then they tried to get rid of it again. Don't know whether they still have versioning or not at the moment, but it's the thing about like what everyone talking about Starbound at the moment in like the forums is always talking about like whenever someone complains about something, it's like, oh, don't worry, the modders can just fix it. And it's like, maybe that's like
not really what it should be, is it?
It's like maybe the actual developers should fix it since they're still fucking working on the game.
Yeah, it's not even out yet. It's not like it's a finished thing, so
it's way off, isn't it?
Yeah, still. But so then conversely with Banished, it's like it's out, but it's like there's not much to the game to start with. So again, It feels like I'd rather have the actual developer make some more stuff rather than him just enabling everyone else to make stuff.
It depends. I don't know. If it's his first thing, then maybe it's a good idea to like keep your scope in check so you build a better game out of your goals, I suppose. Get that right, and then think bigger. Like maybe he himself is now in a position to, as you say, to patch and carry on now that he's got the basics down.
Maybe. I don't know. It's gonna be. It's not like Space Engineers. They do updates like every Thursday, and they've been doing a real good job of actually doing an update every Thursday somehow. Like actually putting something together to shove into the game on a weekly basis, and that's like. I'm sure people would love mods for that, and you can, to some extent, like create new types of block and stuff because it's just like an XML file or whatever is the structure for that game. So yeah, I don't know, all these modding problems. So I'd like Banished to be more complicated, but then it's the classic problem of like I like complicated games, and it probably shouldn't actually be that complicated. He made it this way for a reason, which was that he didn't want it to be complicated.
And it sounds like he succeeded.
Yeah, pretty much. All I really want is like not exactly a map editor, but like a faster way to modify maps or like regenerate maps, because it has like the random seed, of course. And it's like that's, and it's just that it takes a long time to generate the map, so you can't just be like, I'm just going to make random seeds until I find one I like, because that's actually tedious.
Right, okay. Maybe you need like a smattering of pre-generated stuff.
Yeah, or like some kind of map editor or something, I don't know.
Or something that maybe only generates the things it can do fast, like the general terrain layout potentially.
Also, you can
all the
maybe
objects that go on come later or something.
Or maybe you can like modify the actual like individual elements of the map generation, because at the moment it's totally random. So it's like you have
you just have sliders.
Yeah, it's just like, do you want lakes or like how many rivers or how many sub rivers and that kind of stuff? That would be. Maybe modify those would make it
that could be cool.
Easier to make maps that you want. The only choice you get at the moment is valleys or mountains, which just basically means on mountains you just get less space to build. It looks exactly the same, apart from there's more hills where you can't build, because you can only build on flat land, which is always annoying when there's a tiny little mound that barely registers as being vertically different from the rest of the train, apart from it's completely impassable and you can't build on it.
You just want to
train your people to dig the mound? Or?
No.
You need to be the populous god, basically.
Yes, flatten everything.
Yeah. Totally
Make the entire world flat. That's the populous technique.
That's pretty much the only thing the populous god did.
More or less, yeah.
Your job is to flatten ground so that the computer can build an empire.
Yep, build as many goddamn buildings as possible. So that was that.
Recommend overall, though?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's like for specific kinds of people. And, maybe, it's a Steam sale thing, I'm sure, because it's not expensive to start with. So
it did come up in the summer sale, didn't it?
Yeah, that's why I got it.
So I'm taking that as a thumbs up on my binary scale.
Rob's just decided to be the arbiter of this podcast now.
Yeah.
Like whenever anyone decides whether to recommend something, Rob's just like thumbs up.
I kind of like that. Like sometimes that's all I want from like a review or something. It's just like, do you think people should play it? Do you think people shouldn't play it?
Yes, but that's the classic problem with that kind of review, is like it's all dependent on the type of person you are. It's like, you guys wouldn't want to play Banished, but I like it.
I guess it's the same with any like genre, isn't it? Though, because like someone might not like racing games, yet it gets a thumbs up, and the person who doesn't like racing games would go, "No, that's bullshit."
Yes,
I think I'd rather play Banished than that. Like, what was the Minecraft? The thing you were playing before Minecraft with the worm thing.
Oh, worm! Oh man,
just worm. Yeah. I mean, come on, certain kind of person, you give the thumbs up to that.
For a certain kind of person,
yeah.
It's like that's
that just
problem.
means everything we have to have thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just have bad games. Come on.
Well, yeah, it's just that we don't play bad games, so we never give out.
I don't know. I don't know.
From like Sonic, like Sonic.
Foreshadowing.
So anyway, I also played some amount more of EVE and Guild Wars. The new season of Living World stuff started in Guild Wars, which is kind of weird, because they made it so that the idea is now that instead of you having to play it during the 2-week period, you only have to log in during the 2-week period, and it basically unlocks that story step so you can do it whenever you want. Which is kind of weird.
It is strange, because I wonder about how they will stay populated, or if they'll stay populated, or...
Well, what I was saying to Rob about
maybe the shit ones just won't be populated and you'll never be able to do them. Or...
Well, what I was saying to Rob about it is this whole first chapter of the new story or whatever is like your personal story. It's basically single player. There's no actual need for any other people at any point.
Can you not even play them like a co-op instance?
Well, yeah, you can, but then you don't need to.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So like what I was saying to Rob, because it's like most of what Living World Season 1 was like, get the entire server to just pile into this instance and have a gigantic fight for like an hour.
Which at times did kind of work, but at other times got a bit tedious after like, 15 minutes.
Yeah, and a lot of the time that it was just like everyone's just going to grind it for 2 weeks until the next one comes along. Grind it for loot.
I guess that means they are popular if people are grinding them.
Well, but people just like money. It's not because it was cool.
Fake money.
It's just because they want more loot.
Mm.
So yeah, so this kind of new system of unlocking the personal story, the living world story instances, and being able to play them at any time, and being able to toggle them on and off, and like go back to it, means that like there probably won't be anything like those any longer, like any of the big events.
I really hope that's not true, because those were kind of the big events. They're fun. That was the unique thing about Guild Wars.
Because I was thinking, I think I said this to Rob as well, it was like we were thinking about how it could still work like that. Because now that they have the mega server system where you're no longer limited to your actual server, it just like lumps you in with a bunch of people regardless. So, so there could theoretically be, like, if they separate off the map, these like special... Because the idea of this new living world thing is they're not going to ever get rid of any of the content, so like it's always going to be available, unlike the season 1 where obviously all those bosses and stuff got defeated and then the world moved on.
A bit of me wonders, like, this is a very cynical view that perhaps in a way they are dialing back on Guild Wars 2. Like, you know, the first season was the main event for Guild Wars. Now the second season is like, okay, if we're doing these tight little individual missions, maybe that's easier for them, and that gives them some, I don't know, breathing room to dial back efforts on Guild Wars 2 Living World and perhaps work on whatever's next.
Well, it's just like, why didn't they do expansions, I guess? Because they'd already had that work for Guild Wars 1.
I guess they still could, couldn't they? There's no reason why they couldn't just add a whole nother massive chunk of map, or fill in the areas of map that are blank, but...
Well, that's what... They're presumably going to fill in quite a bit of map area with Season 2 of Living World, now that they have to keep the content.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason why they couldn't. I still think the expansion pack is an option to them, because it did take them a while after the original Guild Wars before they went down that route.
Yeah, sort of.
But then that might be because they were working on the expansion pack, right? Because they didn't have any world to deal with. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, the thing about this living world is another way for them to make money, since they're making it so that if you don't log in during the 2-week period, you can buy it for cash.
Mm.
So they're making it so you can buy the parts you missed, I guess.
I wonder how much money they make right now. Like, I wonder how much actually goes in. Because, you know, running an MMO of that scale with no subscription fees must be interesting.
I guess.
Obviously well enough for them to keep going, I suppose.
Well, apparently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was Guild Wars, I guess.
Game of the year.
And then there was some small amount of Eve, but the patch for that doesn't come out until the 22nd, so still waiting for that industry ridiculousness to happen.
I have bated breath.
Yep, I'm sure.
So is everyone going to play it when the patch comes out? Is there not any preparation needed?
Well, I mean, there's my preparation that I talked about last time.
Yeah.
I demanded that preparation of myself. I got in there, fucked around with stuff.
But now you're ready.
Well, not really. That pile of stuff that I'm trying to sell off is taking forever. Also because I occasionally actually do play, and then it just adds some more to the pile. It's like, oh no. Maybe should stop trying to add more stuff to this pile and concentrate on trying to get rid of the pile. I technically could, if I wanted to, I could buy a new skill that would let me put more stuff on the market simultaneously. That would get the pile at least out of the way.
That's one way of doing it, I suppose.
But that skill costs like 32 million.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm probably not going to make 32 million worth of profit off selling all this stuff, so why would I bother? Although, really, at the point I'm at, I have all the skills that don't cost ridiculous amounts of money.
So you have to now pick one that does.
Yeah,
set
pretty much.
it going.
I've been doing, as is the tradition with my Eve skills, it's just like I'm doing the ridiculously, practically everything I'm training is like 30 days or whatever. Because I just haven't done level 5 on everything, so I'm doing level 5 on everything. I have
waiting for things for a long time.
Yeah.
This is tangent time.
I'm sure.
Tangent time. Dun, 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 dun. Did you hear? And Dan will be interested in this as well. The brothers Chapman.
Yes, I did.
Picked up on Homestar work again.
Supposedly.
Woo! They intend on bringing it back with a new website and an archive.
Yeah, they need to redo that site. It's kind of stuck in 2006 or something.
Well, it's stuck in a tiny window. It's made
that's the main problem. All they need to do is resize it a bit. But yeah.
If they can, I don't know, it's like some of those tools that exist that can convert Flash to HTML5.
It's a Flash website. That means you can rescale it really easily. Just drag it out and it automatically smooths everything out for you. Probably not.
In theory.
It's like at this point, it's actually more accessible to put all the content up as video.
Yeah. I think people have been doing that. I think there's some unofficial YouTube sources.
Oh, I'm sure. There's unofficial YouTube sources for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they did make that Halloween thing, didn't they?
Well, they did make that.
April Fool's was the most recent, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, was it April Fool's? Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't explicitly April Fool's. Not like they have done.
No,
April
it's more
Fool's
like what's going on here.
It's not like fuck up your website, April Fool's. It was just like, oh, we've decided to make an update, April Fool's.
It's like we're not dead. Haha.
Yep, pretty much.
Man, Homestar Runner was probably the best thing.
Probably.
Delorted.
Yep. Delorted. So the only other thing I can think of, even though there probably has been other things, maybe I should look at my Steam and think about this for a minute. Because I can. Well, I played Team Fortress some more, I guess. That's not really any kind of surprise.
We've already talked about TF2 news.
Yeah, but that wasn't what I was playing.
It was what you were playing.
Yeah, well, I wasn't playing the news-related part of it.
No.
I was playing the news.
Oh, I played, did I talk about this last time? I don't even remember. I played one run of FTL's Advanced Edition.
Oh, right. Well,
I'm not sure you did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I told Rob about it. I didn't talk about it on the podcast. Yeah, I turned on, I guess it was more than one run. I turned on the Advanced Edition and tried out the new alien ship. The new ship that comes with the Advanced Edition, basically.
Yeah.
And the new alien species and all the new stuff, basically. And that run totally succeeded, so I guess it's not that much more difficult, maybe. Or maybe I just had a fluky luck run and it was totally awesome. But yeah.
It just sounds like the way you have to tackle that game is quite different.
Well, the thing about the Advanced Edition stuff is the first thing is that you have so much more stuff that you have to pay attention to constantly, and all these different alert noises and beepings and things happening all the time from all the different stuff powering up and shutting down and toggling. So you actually have to it's a lot more to pay attention to, I guess. And then some of the modules specifically actually make different tactics significantly more viable in some ways. The whole idea of replace that alien vessel has a clone bay instead of a med bay, so your crew just die and then respawn instead of getting healed, basically, which sort of changes how you fight, man-to-man combat and stuff. And then, there's certain tactics that present themselves with the new things, and then certain new things that fuck up old tactics. Now there's drones that counter drones. So, if you're using a combat drone, the enemy can have a defense drone that can shoot your combat drone.
Oh, right. Okay.
So the drones aren't quite so all-powerful.
And then there's drones that give you overshield, and there's the hacking module, which technically is a drone but not attached to the drone system. And the hacking module is kind of super awesome, I guess. Whereas Rob would like it because it prevents you from being able to miss. Because you can just hack them and turn off their engines, and then you can shoot them.
Nice.
That's great.
That was basically how I won that first run, because the ship starts with a hacking module, and I ended up with enough guns to basically fire 8 shots. So I just hacked the piloting, and then have 8 shots, so even if the enemy had 4 shields, I was still doing 4 damage every turn. Because I hit 8 shots and they can't miss.
Is it more advantageous to hack the engines as opposed to the shields? Or?
Well, it depends what you have to counter, really, because sometimes you need to hack weapons and that sort of stuff. Especially with some of the new... Actually, I don't know how hacking would work with the new... Because I did a second run, and I got completely obliterated by a new weapon, and that I didn't really know what it was going to do until it started doing it, and then it was too late. Because it was like the enemy had basically a chain gun laser. And I was like, well, that's just going to fire continuously, isn't it? Obviously. But what I didn't realize is like it's like it has a spin up, so it fires slowly at first and then fires faster later on. And fires continuously. So by the time I realized that it was like firing every second and had just completely obliterated my shields, and that was just pounding my hull, I was like, oh shit, well, it's too late now. I'm already dead. I should have hacked their weapons while I still had a chance.
That sounds lethal.
So yeah, that second run. But that second run was my experiment into like the new alien race, because I told you before about how I knew about the new alien race. They're the ones that suck all the oxygen out of the rooms.
Yeah.
So that second run I came up with possibly the most effective tactic ever, apart from you still have to survive inside the context of the advanced edition, so like that chain gun laser that just murdered me. But like the most efficient tactic ever seems to be you use 2 of those new aliens as a boarding party with a teleporter, and then use a bomb to blow up the enemy's oxygen room.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you just use the bomb to blow up the oxygen room, teleport your 2 aliens into their oxygen room, because oxygen rooms are always only 2 squares. They immediately drain all the rest of the oxygen out of the oxygen room, so any enemies that come in to fight you take extra damage while they're getting punched.
Right.
And then because the enemies won't basically sacrifice themselves, because they're not dumb, but they are dumb, if you see what I mean. Because they won't sacrifice themselves, they run away, and then you can just walk from room to room, draining all the oxygen out of their ship, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Right, because they can't repair it, right?
Because providing you stop them going back to the oxygen room to repair it by constantly, like every time you see someone trying to sneak in there, run in there and just punch them until they run out of health and then have to leave because there's no oxygen. It's like, you're totally good. You can just drain all the oxygen out of the rooms until they're all dead.
That's almost too ingenious.
Yep, it's almost way too powerful.
Do you just do that every time?
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Okay.
And it also means, the other cool thing, well, sort of not really that cool, but one thing that I didn't really realize that was going to be kind of awesome about that alien race specifically is because they don't need oxygen, you can teleport them onto drones, because the drones don't normally have any oxygen in them.
Oh, of course, yeah. Because those can be really annoying, the drones. Well, the autopiloted ships.
Yeah, because they have like super evasion every time.
Yeah.
But if you can just teleport your dudes into their engine and just disassemble it from the inside.
Genius.
Can teleports miss?
No.
Oh, because then why? How do bomb teleports miss?
Because it's a bomb. It's probably an important difference.
It's teleporting.
Yeah, that was
teleport, right?
That was that FTL. It was quite weird, and I ended up. One of the achievements for this ship is use all of the new stuff basically, and I coincidentally managed to find all the new stuff and buy it all. So I had the mind control as well.
Yeah,
which is also pretty funny for various maneuvers. I think the best. Probably, there's 2 awesome uses for it. The first one is if the enemy teleport onto your ship, you can use the mind control on the enemy on your ship and just make them fight each other. Which is a good way to fuck up enemy boarding parties.
Yeah, negates that whole thing.
And then the other way is you can use it basically in the same way as the hacking drone by just mind controlling the enemy pilot and making him shoot his own piloting console. Which is kind of useful. To fuck up their evasion.
And then you don't miss, right?
Yeah. I mean, if they have autopilot, then that will still cover while the guy you've mind controlled is shooting it. They very rarely actually destroy anything if you're mind controlling them, because usually the other people on the ship come in to fight them,
Right?
Which prevents them from doing any system damage. But providing they're not actually piloting the ship, you at least get them down to whatever level of autopilot they have.
So can you command like one guy at a time then? Or?
Well, you don't really control them. Actually, I don't know if you do control them, or if they just do their thing.
Right. They just switch allegiance and start bashing.
Become random friendly allies.
Yeah. If you really want to, you can do the sort of double layer of ridiculousness if you have mind control and hacking, because hacking a room also locks all the doors. So if you just hack a room and lock someone in and then mind control them, then their team can't get in to stop them from shooting the thing. So then you can actually do damage. Which is kind of dumb.
I hope the mind control machine makes a wololo sound.
It makes some kind of noise.
Wololo.
So yeah, that was that. That's kind of ridiculous.
So if you were playing it again, if you just thought to yourself, oh, I fancy a game of FTL, would you switch on the advanced edition?
Probably not every time. It's like I've still got stuff to do in the normal edition. Like I never did get the last ship and, some of the ship-specific achievements.
Mm.
So,
you could still do that in advanced mode, or would that not be real?
Well,
that's not be earning it correctly.
That's sort of the question. I mean, specifically for the ship unlocks, I think just because advanced mode adds more events, that would make it more difficult for that specific event to appear.
Right.
If you see what I mean?
I see, yeah. You think there's a lower percentage overall of the special stuff happening?
Yeah, probably. To get that achievement, I'd probably still leave it in, nor get that last ship. And the other ship that I technically didn't unlock, but got unlocked due to the advanced edition. So yeah, that's FTL.
Parts 1 and 2 of the Zach teaches Rob to play FTL are now up on YouTube.
Yeah, they sure are.
Yeah, I need to check those out, actually. And then I can learn how to play FTL.
Prepare for 3 hours of ridiculous video.
Yeah,
3 hours of awesome
it's a
tutorial.
whole run.
Oh, yeah. And did you learn? I mean, is it an effective...
I think I was doing the right thing most of the time anyway.
All we really learned was the classic Rob Luck effect is still existent.
Yeah.
Which is when he's by himself doing it, for some reason it sucks.
I had terrible luck. That run went so much better than any other run I've had before. Like everything, even the ones that Zach wasn't sure about, even the events that Zach, I haven't seen this one before. This must be an advanced edition thing. We were like, well, should we do this? And all of those went well. And it's like, hooray!
And that other run that you started playing afterwards
started to go pretty well
with the NG ship.
I refuse to play that game unless you're here now.
Okay then, I'll force you to finish that NG run at some point then, because I want to see how that turns out. Because I think we can probably do it.
Yeah, it was going well.
So now we get to the one actual new game, as is always the tradition with me, I guess. Save it for last.
That's
I was on Amazon.
Version of the news jingle, but for new games. Yeah. I was on Amazon.co.uk.
Yeah, I was on Amazon buying a fan because the previous fan I had in my room had an incredibly loud rattle because it got fucked up at some point.
That fancy tower thing.
Yes, the fancy tower fan got a hideous rattle in it somehow. So I was like, well, fuck this noise. Go buy a new fan.
Literally.
So I went on Amazon to buy a fan, and while I was there, I looked at my Amazon wish list, which is basically my keep an eye on the price of 3DS games until they come down to a reasonable level, which they never do.
Oh, dude, you need to use the stupid camel thing. What's it called?
I'm sure.
Camel.
The camel thing.
Yeah, camel. It's a price tracker. It emails you when the Amazon price goes to the threshold that you set.
Yeah. But I mean,
also you can look up any Amazon URL and it gives you the graph, and it's hilarious how much they literally change, or not just daily, but like almost hourly. Some of the prices change.
Yeah,
it's insane.
The wish list at least tells you like what percentage below the price you added it at was.
Right.
It's like, since you added it, it's gone down this much or whatever.
Right.
Although in some cases, the games that I have on my Amazon wishlist for the 3DS, in some cases have only gone up. Like, I guess because no one sells them any longer. It's like that the Etrian Odyssey game I was thinking about getting, that weird like map drawing RPG thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like that's gone up to like 50 quid now. Because no one sells it any longer.
So it's actually hard to come by.
Yeah. So I was just like, and then when I saw that, I was thinking about where the hell else would I even buy a 3DS game in England? It's like game, and that's not going to have that either.
Not from bricks and mortar, anyway. Yeah.
No. So I guess I'm fucked. Basically, never going to get that game. I suppose I could technically still buy it on the eShop for regular price, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted it to very marginally go down to some kind of internal threshold I have, which is what happened when I was looking on this wishlist, and I was like, holy shit, Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds is slightly cheaper than usual.
Wow.
Slightly.
It's like 23 quid.
That's actually quite reasonable.
Yeah, for like a Nintendo first-party game on the 3DS, I was like, well, holy fuck, it's probably not ever going to get any better than that.
Yoink.
Dude, what? Link Between Worlds? How much does a 3DS cost? I should buy this shit.
You should, and then I'd have some of the Street Files with.
Yeah, but you know me, I'd probably never buy another fucking game. Oh, where's the...
It wouldn't matter. It's just one Street Files, any kind of Street Files.
Oh man, you can get a 3DS with a Triforce on it, which has it bundled. That's probably...
Yep, I'm sure. So I played some of that, quite a lot of that. And...
It's cheaper than Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, the Ocarina of Time remake has never gone down in price. Or not much.
Anyway, Zelda.
So
What's
yeah,
it like?
I play quite a lot of that. Well, the main thing to talk about is like, I'm going to skip to the end of this whole conversation, I guess, or what Rob would consider the end of this conversation, and say it's good, thumbs up.
Hooray!
And now I'm going to proceed to bitch about it for like 20 minutes.
as we normally do.
Zelda is always good.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I think it's good, but I don't think it's like as incredibly pants-shittingly good as everyone thought it was.
No, it's probably not.
Because, like, at the time, it was practically going to be Game of the Year, and in some cases was Game of the Year.
Yeah, just game spots, I think.
But it's like, I don't know. I mean, I have played the SNES one, that it's basically a complete rip-off of, you know. The exact same game.
Yeah, as you do.
So I it's not like I don't have that comparison. Maybe I'd think it was better if I didn't, but surely all these people who were reviewing it did, so that doesn't make sense either. So I think my main problem with it is like the new revolutionary thing that everyone was going on about, like the stupid renting the items thing.
Yeah.
That's not actually cool at all in any way.
Have you actually used it? Because a lot of people said you didn't really have to use it like that. Well, you could just buy the items and.
Well, the thing is, it's just like so the idea of it being that you can access like the temples in any order because you can just get whatever items you need is like that's not actually that's fine sort of, except for like there's no. I think because of that, it sort of makes the rest of the world feel more empty, because it's like I've never used the fire rod apart from in the ice temple. It's like I've never seen anywhere in the entire world apart from the ice temple where you can use the fire rod to solve a puzzle. So it's like they've allowed you to access the dungeons in any order, but there's no reason to have the item apart from in the dungeon that you would be using it in anyway if it was the item you got in that dungeon.
Weird.
So I don't think
that's bizarre. Why even bother?
Yeah,
there must be some reason. There must be areas of the world outside of because traditionally, like in the general world, there's areas that you can only get to once you've got the item from some dungeon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's virtually any of those. I think that's the thing. I mean, there's plenty of bombable walls, and the bomb technically is an item you have to rent, but it's the fucking bomb. It's like the most generic of Zelda items. There's not even that many places where you can hook shot. It's like you don't really need the bow for anything apart from combat. There's no switches to hit with the boomerang apart from in specific boomerang locations that are clearly labeled with the boomerang logo. So yeah, it's just like it just seems like in the general. So really, all that means is like you'd get to the entrance to the temple, you'd see the thing that tells you what item you have to have, you'd fly back to the shop, you'd rent the item, and then you go back. It's like that's not actually changed the process in any way.
No, that's just made it more irritating by the sound of it. So you are renting rather than just buying them. Like, well, because presumably you don't die?
Well, you don't have a choice initially. Like, you can only rent to start with. But then that's the other problem with the rental system is it's not actually any trouble at all. It's like I had so much money by the time I could actually rent items, I just rented all of them. And then by the time I could buy items, I had so much money, I just bought all of them.
Right.
Because money just flies out of everything constantly in huge quantities.
Oh, man.
It's like you kill a goddamn regular enemy and 20 goddamn rupees come out. Wow. And every extra chest in the dungeon has like 100 or 300 rupees in.
Wow, inflation has really hit Hyrule bad.
Apparently, because it used to be like quite exciting when you got one of the gold ones or something.
Yeah.
Like 200 rupees and it filled up your freaking...
Oh yeah,
I didn't have any space for that.
Also you don't have any concept of different sizes of wallets in this game, so you can just immediately get all the money.
Okay.
So yeah, that sort of negates the whole idea of renting in itself, because you just have so much fucking money.
Yeah, because most of the time it's like you were lucky if you got like one out of an enemy, weren't you? If you killed it, if that. And the occasional one, maybe two.
And there's just like 20 rupees lying around on the floor and in every dungeon. Like behind this hidden wall, there's a fucking line of 20 rupees. Just a goddamn ton.
I don't think I ever finished that quest in Ocarina where to get the big wallet. Wasn't it the House of
Skulltula things?
Yeah, House of Skulltula or whatever.
Well, that's because you had to get all of them.
Yeah, that's right. It's freaking crazy that place in that was a really dark story, right? It was like a family that had all turned
into horrible mutated skeleton.
It was really wrong. Yeah, and it was in that really nice, pleasant village as well. You just go to this house, and it's like, oh yeah, that family's fucked.
You have to break into the abandoned house. So yeah, that's why
at least that was. I think that was slightly less manageable than the bug hunting one from Twilight.
The bug hunting one was because it was actually difficult to find them.
Yeah. They weren't super obvious, like a big fat Skulltula thing crawling around. There's just a tiny dot somewhere.
Yeah, in a huge open world. Well, not really open world. Open area.
Mm.
So that's the bitching about that segment. But the one thing that is actually good...
The one thing that's good, okay.
The one thing
in a thumbs-up game, no less.
Yeah. It's like the one thing that is actually awesome, better than good.
Awesome. Okay.
Is the actual new mechanic for like going 2D and walking along the walls. That is actually awesome. And it's the one new mechanic that's been added to the Zelda game, and it sort of feels like the entire game's the awesomeness of the entire game is based on that, and all these other all the other Zelda items that you can buy might as well be completely irrelevant because they're not good any longer. All that matters is the new ability.
Okay, well that's cool.
Do you reckon that's in part because the levels have been more designed around the new ability as opposed to the items, or?
Well, to some extent, but I mean, it's not like the new ability has any advanced concepts to it. It's not like you get abilities to your ability. It's the same from the start of the game. So there's a limit to how much variance they can do with that, I guess. But yeah, so that that saves it in some ways, I suppose. I don't know.
We must save it if it's a thumbs up game. Come on.
Yeah. But
so what's the music and stuff like? Everyone was saying, the music. Yeah, okay.
I mean, it is just the old music, but higher quality.
Which I suppose you can't go wrong with.
Yeah, it has all the same tunes, the same Dark World overtune and whatever.
Overtune.
Overtune. Dark World Overworld tune.
Yeah,
That's technically what I was trying to say. That sounds even worse.
This guitar is overtuned.
So yeah,
Notes are too precise.
So I mean, like, if you've played the previous game, the way it's exactly the same world is kind of weird. Where it's just like,
is this like part of the problem, like, of why you're not so sure that it should have been like Game of the Year material? That it is because it is so much of the old game redone.
Well, it's because it's. I don't know. It's because it's fine that they reused the world, I guess. Because the actual world part of the world technically doesn't matter. It's like the dungeons are the only bit that's important, I suppose.
Sure.
And it's like the new mechanic that they've added is what makes those dungeons interesting, not the old ass items. So it kind of, in some ways, it feels like they could have made a better game if this wasn't Zelda, and they just made an entire game based around the new mechanic or something. I don't know.
Nintendo would never do that.
No, of course. It's basically Portal. I mean, that's pretty much what that new ability lets you do, since you're not travelling from one bit of wall to another bit of wall. So I suppose some of the puzzles are kind of Portal-esque in certain ways.
But you have to find unlike Portal, you have to like find a path along the wall, don't you?
When you say find a path, it's not like you have choices. It's like there's either an obstruction or there's not. Because you can't move up or down on the wall or anything. You can only travel in a precise horizontal level, exactly on the level you're at. And occasionally there are moving blocks that you can stick to and like travel around on the side of the block, which lets you do some slightly different elevation things. So yeah, I guess it's good. It's probably not very difficult. That's, I guess that's because I'm good at that kind of game. Maybe I played some of those before. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what's coming.
How does it scale the difficulty then? Because presumably it's a Zelda game, you're getting more hearts and stuff as you go on. Do the dungeons get harder in some way to scale?
Not really.
I suppose that's not necessarily something you'd see, is it?
I mean, I think that's maybe potentially another one of the problems with how it's balanced, because it's like you have more health and there's not like enemies. You can upgrade the Master Sword, which I thought was weird.
It's not the Master Sword at first, then.
Well, it is the Master Sword, but then you can get Master Ore and upgrade the Master Sword to make it even better.
The Masterer.
So if you upgrade the Master Sword, it does more damage, and there are certain enemies where if you come across them, I guess if you come across them early, they're like really difficult. So like there's this one type of enemy where I wasn't even sure I was even doing damage to it because of how many hits it took. And then it hit me and it knocked off like 5 hearts. And I was like, well, maybe I should come back. But that's like pretty rare to find one of those situations where it seems like you're actually underpowered for the area. Because I guess they couldn't do that.
Yeah. So it has a difficulty curve problem then.
Yeah, it's like there's no difficulty curve. It's the same all the way through. Just never get hit. That's the solution to Zelda.
Yeah. Don't die.
I haven't actually died yet. I've been resurrected by fairies a couple of times when I got lazy.
Good advice though. Don't die.
Yep. It's always the best plan.
Saladcast top tip.
Why do 3DSs not come with chargers? There must be a good reason for this.
Because they like having it in a very small box, I think, is the only reason.
Oh, is that the reason?
It's a very, very small box. It's like literally the box is pretty much only the size of the 3DS because there's nothing in there apart from the 3DS.
I remember us having this conversation when you bought yours, and then we're just like, sorry, what?
I'm just looking at the SKUs on Amazon.co.uk, and you can like click between them, on one page, so it's easily. So the standard one's £165. Right, I'm talking about the XL, right?
Right, the standard XL.
165. the Zelda Link Between Worlds edition is 283 for some reason.
Wow.
So that's like 120 quid for that game, which you can get for 20 quid, right? So you're paying
the game and the Triforce.
Yeah, I guess you're paying 100 quid for a Triforce there. So I'm not sure why. And then, but like I said, so the standard's 165, but the Yoshi edition with Yoshi on it is 140.
So Yoshi is a damaging brand.
Apparently, yeah. It's not like the Yoshi one comes with a Yoshi game of any kind. It just has Yoshi on it, and it's just cheaper.
Do they still sell the Fire Emblem one?
They've got a black-blue one, but it doesn't say anything about Fire Emblem. They have a Mario Kart 7 edition. Mario Kart 7.
Red.
That one's white. That's 200 quid. The white one is cheaper than the black one by like a £5. Sorry.
Gasp.
Oh, that's
Weird.
dumb. Why do they do this? And it's so ridiculous.
Well, I suppose on Amazon at least they're trying to gauge popularity, aren't they? And if something is not selling quite as well, they will just do, as you say, do on their hourly tweaks.
Yeah.
And be like,
That's presumably none of that is Nintendo's price, strictly speaking.
No, none of it will
It's
be.
within the limits of what Nintendo will let you sell it at, but
I don't know.
Amazon
Maybe
users.
that £280 one does sound a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's only. It said, oh no, hold on. That one is
third party seller.
Yeah, that one's a third party seller. It's hard to tell because it's all on the same page. But yeah, that's obviously out of stock. So obviously they don't sell that one anymore. Sold by Tuboon.
Tuboon for you.
Yeah. So that's a third party seller. But the Yoshi one's from Amazon, and that's mysterious. Although that says
nobody likes you, Yoshi.
2 to 4 weeks on that one.
Go shit your eggs elsewhere.
Yeah, mysterious. Anyway, 3DS pricing news. So yeah,
does Yoshi crap eggs
Yeah,
and give birth through the same hole? You reckon? It's
the same thing, isn't it?
Well, no, because if you're eating, if he's eating and then laying eggs as a result of the eating, is that just egg-shaped poo?
Yeah, clearly.
That must be really confusing for them. When they're raising their eggs, it's is that a nest of eggs or a nest of crap?
Nest of crap.
Crap nest.
So Brazil have conceded a penalty after 3 minutes. Nice one.
Going well. What do you reckon? 5-0?
Who
are they playing again?
Netherlands.
Oh yeah, Netherlands.
The third place match.
The Netherlands should be able to score more than 5, surely.
Yeah.
Although they did yesterday, which was their problem.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's what you've been playing. So.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Cool.
What about you, Rob? Anything else?
Man, we're totally going to run long this one because I need to rant off about the other game that rant off.
Rant off
about the other game that actually has Zelda content in it, which is Sonic Lost World.
My Sonic cough.
Yeah, that's not a good game. It took me a while to realise it, but that is not a good game.
Okay.
Weren't the warning signs there?
Sort of,
It's got the word Sonic on the box. Oh no, hold on.
That's not
no, I'm only joking.
You're right. Perhaps from the start, at least by the time you get to the second world of that game, there should have been some indications that all was not quite right. In the second world, there are levels where it becomes apparent that some of the level design just does not fit with the control.
Right.
And the way Sonic's new free-running abilities work, it just becomes awkward. Or you do the wrong thing constantly. Or you... it's just tricky. It's just tricky. There shouldn't be a reason for it to be tricky, because most of the time it's actually fairly simple platformy stuff that you're struggling with. And then you start coming across the levels that just seem ill-conceived. I showed Zach one where you're running away from a sort of sandstorm cyclone thing.
Right.
But it doesn't move along the level at a fixed pace. If you start getting too fast, it speeds up, and then if you hit like certain speed boosts and stuff, it just catches up with you, but you don't really move ahead of it. And it's like this is weird. And there are times where you can actually be hitting the things that make you go fast, but because the cyclone is suddenly accelerating to keep up with you, you actually lose during mid your supposed fast bit. And it's like, oh, okay, that doesn't really make sense. And it's just
they got you running a cyclone.
Except I'm running away from a cyclone. Apparently I can't run in a cyclone, despite the fact that
triple overdose, then you're in the zone. That's true.
Even though Sonic probably has had the ability to create cyclones at some point in his past, probably.
Yeah, always certainly.
Him and cyclones don't get on, it seems. Now they said some things.
It was Sonic Adventure 1, clearly.
It was just, and it just gets worse as the game goes on.
Oh,
things just start to fall apart, and levels get. It's frustrating because, in the sense, sometimes you can really see that the designers were trying to be creative. That some of the ideas actually, I think, probably could have worked, but they just fight the control all the time. Like, there's a world based on ice, which is always fun, and you get to actually in Sonic normally the ice levels are pretty good, but in this case, like, it creates sliding momentum. Like, you can't really,
right?
It's a classic slippy floor thing.
Yeah.
Except there's a really bizarre decision in that when you're running on ice, you don't run. He does a skating animation, which at first you think is really cool. It's like, oh, okay, they've actually made a whole new animation for this. That's pretty nice. And then you jump, and Sonic does a ballet-style pirouette into the air, which, while you're doing, removes all of your mid-air control.
Oh.
Like, so you can't homing attack, you can't initiate a bounce. So the way it forces you then in certain sections of the game to make sure that you're not running before you make this jump, because you will need the homing attack. And it's like, oh, for the love of God, that's terrible.
That's really bad. I mean,
those levels are awful, like categorically terrible. The ones with any of the icy bits on.
It's a pretty cardinal sin, just taking away your control.
There's just levels where that seems to, or moments where that just seems to happen, where what you expect to happen just suddenly doesn't. And that extends as far as the homing attack has always been a little bit dodgy, but in this there are times where it can be really dodgy. It's just, I couldn't throughout the entire length of the game, I could not figure out how to make the multi-lock really function.
Right.
Like, so they've added a new thing now where you can lock multiple targets at once with the homing attack, and it will either hit all of them, or you can lock the same target several times to do more damage to it, which is required in certain parts of the game. Sometimes that's not really telegraphed very well. That's a whole nother problem. It's just, so there are times where you need to do this multi-lock, but you're not really sure how to initiate it. So you jump and it like locks it once, and it's like, well, I needed more than that. Can you give me some more locks, please?
Yeah.
And it's like, do I have to stand in front of this thing for a little bit doing nothing for you to like get more locks up, or do I have to wait for it to get one lock and then I jump and then it locks the rest? I haven't figured it out. And it, like, over the course of the entire game, I think I should know that by now.
Yeah, you'd think you'd get it within the first level or so and start refining it after that, right?
Yeah.
Your skill in it, rather than not being... Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's just... It's such a shame, because it's one of those ones where it feels like they obviously wanted to do a Mario, so there's more innovation in this. Like, there's more different themed levels, I think, than what they tend to do normally.
Oh, you mean like the Mario you've been playing recently, then?
Yeah, they do a Mario as in they like having areas...
As in shake your arms from side to side.
Do the Mario! They don't have a cool song to go with this one either. There's not really a sort of a ridiculously...
retarded theme tune.
Yeah, it doesn't have a theme tune with people singing or anything. It just has that orchestral number. That's the theme tune. And it's that always sounds like it's like asking a question.
Okay.
And it's I mean, so what I mean by doing a Mario is like they try and mix up, so the stages tend to have a sort of like a themed style to them. So there'll be like some that are like the spheroid style levels, but then you'll get ones that are just like one-offs, which is like most of New Super Mario Bros. U is that most levels were one-off ideas, which is kind of cool. But
yeah.
And some of those are the better levels in the game when they go off the beaten track, and it's just that it feels like they're trying too hard in places. Like the whole item system is appalling. Like they have an item system like Mario where you can pick up items and you can use them when you want, but you use them mid-level, which is different, I suppose, rather than activating them before you go into a level.
Right.
But then they have this ridiculous like attempt at doing a Miiverse social thing that is constantly getting in the way, saying, a white wisp mysteriously appears and gives you an item, but it's like, but I don't use the item, so what am I going to do with this? I have to tap through a few unnecessarily slow dialogues on the pad to say, no, I would like to discard these. Are you sure you want to discard them? Yes, please discard these things. You've discarded the item. Yeah, I know I've discarded the item. Drop them back. And it's like, and this happens way too often, and it's super dumb.
It just sounds just a bit of a chore.
It has it has. I think if it had like a bit longer in the incubator, they really could have made something out of it. But I wonder if someone made it feels a bit like, oh, hey, we've made these platforming mechanics. Can you build a game around them? And then that didn't really work.
What do you think?
Because the mechanics were kind of flawed. So it's bad. I mentioned telegraphing earlier as well. It's like it's bad at telegraphing what you have to do in places. Which is, again, kind of like it's Game 101, right? You need to know what you're supposed to be doing.
Otherwise, you're just going to fall down that hole, right? Or
yeah,
off the level.
I ran through not the last level, the second to last level of the main story about, I don't know, probably nearly 20 times before I figured out how you're supposed to kill the boss at the end of it. It's like, oh, you do that. Oh, I see now. And now after I'd figured that out, I could sort of see, oh, I see you were trying to telegraph that by doing this thing earlier, but I didn't get that. I don't know. And there were a number of moments like that where I didn't pick up on its supposed cues, or if there were cues. Like there's a level focused around being a snowball.
Right.
Because, but I didn't realize you could do the spin dash as a snowball, and then that becomes the key mechanic you need for the boss fight. And it's like, oh, I can do that. All right.
Well, so it didn't tell you at all, or it didn't?
The game, there was no help bulletin or anything. It expected me to know that I could spin dash because I was a snowball. When I made the assumption, it's like, oh, I'm a snowball. None of my normal controls will really apply, right? I suppose spin dash should have been the one that I perhaps assumed would be there. You know, it's a ball, so it's a ball half the time.
But even so, like, usually they they teach you a bit earlier on, don't they, about those things, or like give you some kind of hint.
And the worst thing is that the DLC content is a glimpse of what could have been had they just been more focused in a way. Like, because those levels play pretty well. Like the Yoshi themed level looks like something out of like Yoshi's Story, Train, and plays quite a lot like you're picking up, instead of red rings, you're picking up the little flower things, and there are pipes you can go into to go to different areas, and it's quite a good homage to it, and it plays nicely. Same with the Zelda one. The Zelda one is actually puts you in an open stage, and there isn't really a lot of point in it in terms of a level. You could just go through it really quickly if you wanted and skip to the end. But part of that level's thing is, you can sort of explore it a little bit and find different ways of earning rupees and
yeah, exactly,
stuff like that. And it's like these levels work. It's like it's weird. It is strange. And the look of the game, also, I think they've got very right. I really like how that game looks.
Right, okay. So it's not that part of the vision, it's just the actual...
It's all mechanical. It's all mechanical. That's the problem. It's some of the and even weirder, just to top it all off, when you finish the game, you unlock a hidden zone, which has 4 extra levels. And one of those is a bit weird, and I haven't actually played the 4th one yet because it requires an animal target, a certain number of saved animals that I don't have yet. But two of those levels are kind of interesting because they seem to be ideas that they couldn't work out how to fit in the rest of the game, so just made dumb levels about it. One of them is just one of them's a flying level where you're just it's like a straight course basically, and you're just dodging left and right to avoid things. But it's it's simple, but it's not done anywhere else in the game, and it plays fine. And then there's one level that's all about like standing on moving platforms and making sure you pick the right path and stuff like that in order to go down. And like platforms you stand on disappear behind you, and it's just another platformy stage, and it's not a bad one. It just wasn't used elsewhere in the game. And it's like, this is weird. It's like, why weren't these main levels? These are better.
Yeah, well, they need to recognize when they've got a good thing going, and
yeah, and they really didn't on this. It does feel like they sort of had the right idea and then just shat it out like a year early or something. Well, maybe a year is a bit much, but it just needed polish, a lot of polish. So, as much as it pains me to say it, I cannot recommend Sonic Lost World. Thumbs down.
Ooh, thumbs down time.
It's the most frustrated I've been with a game for a while. Just the rage I had at some points of like, but what the fuck?
Yeah, that's definitely time for a thumbs down when you've got that feeling. I hate that. Yeah. That's the worst. Is that it's like, son of a bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the sort of the tone that I mentioned, like probably the least important part of this, that tone of the sort of storytelling that I sort of said that I liked, gets considerably more boring as the game goes on.
Right, yeah, it kind of starts to wear a bit thin, right?
Well, no, it's just front heavy with the good stuff, the sort of like stupid stuff that I like. Like towards the end, it's just like it becomes, I don't know. The story gets a little self-serious in some ways, and it's like, where's the comedy? Like, this is what you do, right? This is what you've actually got okay at doing in terms of Sonic games.
Yeah, it's this mysterious kind of comedy thing.
It's like Tails gets kidnapped, and then Sonic goes a bit emo about it, and it's like, no, what? No,
that doesn't.
I don't want this.
No.
And then that situation just resolves itself because, of course, like Sonic doesn't even really do anything.
No, he just runs really fast and jumps on things.
That's weird. Anyway, it's like surely Amy should have got kidnapped. The whole point.
Oh, Amy and Knuckles pretty much die.
Okay, good.
Pretty much.
And
then they're not.
And then they mysteriously reappear. We're fine, guys. No problem.
We saved the world. Way.
Like
even the ending is really sort of anticlimactic. It's like Sonic's just like, yeah. They're like, "Woo, Sonic, you saved the world. I'm having a nap."
That's genius. Almost lost the world, but no.
Real strange.
So the continuing saga of a good Sonic game, and then maybe Sonic's good again. Oh wait,
and then they've screwed it up again. Yeah, this is supposed to be the successor to Colors as well. You know, this is supposed to be their follow-on from that properly, and it's just no, you've got it wrong. I actually kind of did find myself really wanting to go back and play Colors while playing this. It's like I should go back and play that game. I really liked it.
Just play Colors, damn it. Yeah. Generations and Colors, they were like a blip of like awesomeness.
Yeah.
It was like, this is promising. Oh, this is really good. Oh, wait. Oh,
yeah. It's like Unleashed was moving in the right direction. Colors was very close to what I'd want from a Sonic game. Like, you know, it was pretty much there. Generations was pretty much perfect. Wow, you know, that's saying a lot, but you know, as far as Sonic goes, yeah. And then let's take an enormous dump on all of that good work. And I haven't even factored in Rush into that equation as well, which were also great games.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, that's a while back now, right?
Yeah, it was a while.
What have you got coming up? Blooming Sonic Boom doesn't look.
Sonic Boom, which is looking to be not good either.
Yeah. Name.
Yeah, disappointing. But I am gonna bring it up a notch with two bits of good news. Like more content did drop for Plants vs Zombies. Hooray! So I started playing a bit more of that. The Tactical Taco Pack, which is Just basically, as far as I can tell, a couple more customization items. Nothing major there. It's not as big in terms of the customization as some of the previous ones have been. But there is a new level, which looks a lot like a Team Fortress level. It's that kind of like sandy ground, like redwood buildings sort of thing. And there's a train that goes through the middle of the level, of course.
Very TF2. Maybe it's a homage.
Yeah. There's a new game mode as well, called Vanquish Confirmed, which is basically Kill Confirmed from Call of Duty. So instead of picking up dog tags, you're picking up crazy orbs that characters drop.
Oh, what?
Because they're crazy.
Surely it should have been like seeds or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it should have been something for the zombies and something for the plants, maybe. But I guess they both need something to fight over, so they're orbs. I don't know. It's a new game mode. What the hell? And they updated the mixed mode playlist to include that and Gnome Bomb. So now all of the 4 multiplayer modes are in one playlist, which is nice.
That's good.
So that drew me back into that for a while. Not that I was really out of it, but I played it a few nights in a row. It was good. But one game I have played from start to finish and is a really, really big thumbs up from me is Child of Light.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love that game.
Really? Awesome.
Yeah, it turned out to be really, really good.
Cool.
It's like, as I described last time, it's like the mechanics the RPG stuff doesn't necessarily get that complex. It's like, it's not a Bravely Default and it's not a Final Fantasy. It doesn't really come close to those in terms of mechanical complexity. But it's such a well-made package. And it ends at a point which, it's not a short game, but it ended at a point where I'm still like, I could totally just play this again. Like, not the same game, but, if it had more content, I would still be playing it.
Yep.
And the story's great, the look is great. The story's simple, but, it's sort of carried by whimsy. And it's just a fantastic game. And it's like, I really struggle with games that I like this much, because it's hard to... I find it so much easier to bitch about stuff than I do to praise stuff. But it is
I know what you mean. So it's... so how long is it then?
I have no idea how much time I've put into it, but it's probably over 10 hours, that kind of stuff. So it's, for RPG stuff, it's not like super long, but it's... it's reasonable for...
Decent then. Okay.
For a download game. But it's massively relaxing. It's like, I guess here comes the bitch, I suppose. It's like, here comes the bad stuff. It can be highly frustrating in some fights if you end up on the wrong part of the timeline. So as I explained before, it's like you can end up, the fighting mechanics are almost entirely based on where you sit on this timeline. And it's like your actions, what you may choose to do, are highly dependent on where your enemies are. So if you don't really want to say, I'm going to get ready to do an attack move at your choice, if the enemy's attack phases are going to come before me, because I'm just going to get hurt, and that's going to cancel out my attack phase, called an interrupt. And it's there are times where you can just get stuck in an awkward loop where it's like, I can't get myself out of a position where I'm going to have the ability to do an attack that's not going to be at risk. And like the game, incorrect corrections column, I incorrectly said the game has a poison mechanic. It never goes that far. There's no poison, there's no silence, there's no blindness. It's like the only bad things that can happen to you are time effects. Like you can be paralyzed or slowed down or set back. And occasionally, like, so then they had to come up with sort of like ingenious ways of making the enemies somewhat irritating. Like they had different, instead of just poisoning everyone, they had to come up with something else. So the way they did that was to introduce specific counters in specific scenarios. So certain things will counter if you use magic against them. Some of them will counter if you interrupt them with magic, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
Some of them just don't like being hit and will occasionally counter. But But those can be super frustrating when you're like, I really need this to work, and then you pull it off at just the wrong time. Like the timing just doesn't work out, and you interrupt them instead of hitting them normally. And then, of course, they counter that with something nasty, like making all of their guys faster or do more damage for a few turns. And you're like, oh, shit, I'm in trouble now. And that can be really frustrating.
Yeah, definitely.
But
I mean, so the combat is... it didn't like it was light enough, like it didn't like totally dominate the gameplay. I mean it is the game.
It is the game. It is the game. Yeah, you do spend most of your time probably, well, a good half of your time probably in a fight as opposed to just world traversing. And it's like so I've been playing it on expert mode, and it's like the game likes to spike the difficulty on boss fights, and it's like I'm okay with that. It's like that's a good time to do a dramatic spike in difficulty, I think.
Yeah,
taking out something that's massive.
It's almost traditional, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it does occasionally have to make you think about, okay, what's okay? No, you do a run and you get bested like horribly, and then you're like, you take that information away with you, and it always saves right before where you died. So no matter where you die, if it's just a casual fight or a boss fight or whatever, it will put you like seconds before you entered the fight, so you can toy with the menus and stuff and rearrange things if you went in ill-equipped. And it's it does give you this nice time to sort of just say, okay, I went into that badly, I know how to tackle that now. And then pretty much every time that happened to me, like I'd die once and then the second time I would get it, which is quite satisfying.
Yeah It's good. Yeah, I mean, it's good to fail at least once. I feel on the big.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you need
bosses.
it on an RPG, don't you? It's frustrating. Like I guess like some of the Final Fantasy games are bad at this on the multi-stage bosses. I guess where you do something and you're like, okay, I've just scraped my way through that, and then a second part comes that you weren't expecting, and then totally fucks with what you have, and you're like, oh no, all that time I just spent on the first bit, I'm gonna have to do again because of something that I wasn't expecting. Like that stuff kind of irritates me. It's like, I think it's like Zach was talking about that, like different mechanics, I suppose. But when we were talking about Fire Emblem and like something happens mid-level and you're like, I've got to now deal with that. Like
well, and Bravely Default as well, where it's like you just go in and then you just die, and then you have to actually come up with the tactic because you don't actually know what you're about to fight.
I mean, Valkyria Chronicles was bad for that as well. In fact, in places, Valkyria Chronicles could be really bad for that, because if you're doing too well, you could be in the area where something bad was about to happen, like a giant enemy would just spawn on top of you, and you're like, well, this is going to lose now, isn't it?
So what do you think you could do, like, as the designer to
I don't know. It's a real difficult problem, isn't it? Because you want to have that element of surprise in places.
Yeah.
But you don't want it to be unfair. It's like you almost need to like be able to. Like, I guess in those games you almost need like a reset condition in a way where there's it gives you a chance to at least prepare for that so it happens and you're like, oh, okay, this is happening now, but at least gives you some. In the case of Valkyria Chronicles, perhaps gives you the chance to then like have a couple of turns while it's like getting ready or something for you to like move out of the way. Because that was part of the problem, because it would just appear at some point. It could be in the middle of your turn, it could be the end of your turn, so you may have zero time to do anything about it, and you could have several guys in the firing line that would just die, and you're like, ugh, like there's nothing I could have done about that. I knew nothing of what was coming. But again, you go back into it a second time and it's fine, because you know exactly what's going to happen. You have everyone positioned where in an optimal place, and it's fine.
Perfect place.
But it's like. But I feel like that shouldn't be how those sort of events play out.
Yeah, there's got to be a middle ground there somehow. I don't know. I mean, but there's been games doing this for years, right?
Yeah.
Equivalent.
It's still a problem in strategy. I think it's... I mean, this doesn't have any multi-phase bosses, so, gets around that problem.
Right, yeah.
By just not doing it. But, I just was totally into it. And it's... I think it's been a while since I've been. Well, I say a while since Plants vs Zombies, maybe.
Since you've really had a contender for your game of the year.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely up there. It's definitely up there.
I haven't got one this year. Fuck, have I? No.
I don't know if you've played a game from this year yet. Does Broken Age count? Like, is that this year, technically?
Maybe that doesn't count. What? I don't know. Yeah. Perhaps not. There hasn't been any really big games come out that, apart from the fact that there were new consoles, I suppose. And even then,
that was all last year, technically.
Yeah. Okay.
Apart from Titanfall and maybe some PS4 stuff, but even then, I don't think they're contenders right now.
No, it's true.
Even if we had played them.
What about you, Zeg? What are your contenders right now?
I don't know what games have come out this year. I don't pay attention.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. Okay,
Banished?
Child of Light. Yeah.
I don't think that did come out this year. I think that might have been last year.
Transistor? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's that. It's the classic, like, wins by default by being the only game. That was, like, nearly how it was last game of the year. We had to struggle to come up with stuff.
I suppose Mario Kart 8 is on like this year's list as well.
Yeah, got Mario Kart 8.
Still another half of the year to go. The important half, technically.
Yeah, the important half.
Yeah, so there's some stuff coming.
We haven't had a big Mass Effect sort of early year thing this time around.
No Bioshock Infinite this time, or no DMC, as it was for me last year. But
yeah. Cool. So
there's still time, and in the meantime, I'm enjoying catch-up time. Really.
Yeah.
It's like I suppose I've got Super Time Force, which is this year, to still play. That's probably about it in terms of this year's stuff.
So
exciting.
Well, it's train time.
Trains.
Just wait a moment. Wow, that cut off really extremely. Was that Zach's?
Yeah, one of like noise cancelling probably kicked in.
Yeah.
This train has just stopped on a dime outside Zach's house, ready to whisk him away from this podcast.
Hit the brakes. Right, we've run a bit over, haven't we?
We have.
Anything more you've been playing?
No. Those are that's the news that needed to be said.
Coolio.
Play Child of Light. Avoid Sonic like plague.
Yep. Thumbs up for one. Thumbs down for the other.
I know it's rare that we have a thumbs down.
We got three thumbs up today and a thumbs down.
We play good games.
Oh yeah.
Apart from when we don't.
Thanks for joining us, listeners. Catch you next time for more Saladcast. In a couple of weeks, we'll have more on Broken Age, I expect. More on the Spinning Fork saga, which isn't really a saga because it only has one.
2 parts now.
2 parts.
Well, the second part is not really a part. It's the part of nothing actually happening.
Nothing part.
Waiting.
We'll have more nothing next time.
It's like Harry Potter and the last Harry Potter film, part 1. It's the waiting.
The waiting in. Cool.
The wandering around in the noodle wilderness.
That would be a nightmare. Wandering around in the noodle wilderness with no electric spinning fork.
How am I to eat all this?
Exactly. Just ignoring.
Use my hands. It just slides through my fingers.
Telling you, man, chopsticks. It's the way forward.
That pincer noodle action. I actually had a pot noodle this week as well. I had another pot noodle. I'm a pot noodle.
You're a pot noodle.
I'm a pot noodle. End of sentence.
I couldn't think of a decent way to describe myself. I don't think pot noodle hoe was particularly appropriate. It's not like I'm a pot noodle selling myself. That would be a pot noodle hoe.
You'd be more of a pot noodle pimp, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
If you were selling pot noodles.
I know, but the pimps don't necessarily sample their own merchandise.
Necessarily.
No, I mean, they probably do, but...
Right, let's wrap this up. Oh, God. It's 2-0 now.
Hey.
Right, catch us next time for more Saladcast. Cheers, guys.
Brazil.
Bye.
that.